It's not better. Like, no,
I've
Joe.
hit the start button. So hi everybody. We're talking about RPGs
I
today.
yeah.
Uh,
Doing
this is a rocket-propelled grenade. It's very good at taking out tanks. Can be sometimes used to blow up cover.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's an RPG, Joey.
It,
No, hold on. The stream hasn't actually connected yet. Yeah, this thing sometimes delays a little bit.
it always does whenever you stream. That's just how streams work.
Yeah, I should have double checked before I even started properly.
Is what it is. Meh.
Meh. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So today we're talking about RPGs.
Yeah.
This is a rocket-propelled grenade. It can be used to blow shit up. Mostly tanks, but sometimes cover. Commonly used in war for those things. What are your thoughts on
Yes.
RPGs?
They should be kept out of the hands of civilians.
Yes, they should be, but you know how it goes.
I know I can fight the government well if I was given the ability there because I have in fact studied the blade.
Okay, but for a realsy reels, what we're gonna be doing is RPG tier list for turn-based RPGs.
So some determinants on this, folks. Anything that uses a RTS system, even so, like the bars that load up, all the way leading up to even those technically aren't turn based. You don't take a turn, then they take a turn, then you take a turn.
Yeah, we
They get
were
attacked twice in a turn,
pretty strict
and
on
you
the
can attack
term
twice in a turn.
turn-based.
Yeah, you can attack twice in a row, and they can attack twice in a row. Therefore, you're not taking turns. You're alternating attacks.
The other
But
thing
yeah,
is we don't have every freaking game on here. I have
no, if you have,
so many.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, it might be worth it to make like multiple
Yeah,
episodes of
we'll
this
probably
just to
do
see how
multiple
many we can
episodes
get
and just
through.
keep adding to the list.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking because it just makes sense at this point because there's so many. Like, just to keep in mind, us cutting all that down, cut out some fan favorites.
68
So,
files, so there's 68 images on screen. I think I doubled up on some. I have Quest 64 on here.
but like we cut down like games like Final Fantasy VII, for example, has a bar based attack system,
ATB,
and
as it
so
goes.
yeah, so we cut that
None of
off.
that ATB bullshit. Pure, unfiltered, turn-based RPG.
Yeah, it's just you attack, then they attack, then you attack, then they attack.
So yeah.
Oh yeah,
Those are our thoughts on it. We love RPGs. We played a lot. I've
yes.
tried to keep this down to games either one of us have at least played. So mostly, most of this, both of us have played. Some of this, only one or the other might have played.
And we'll have to sell it if we want a certain ranking at
Yes,
that
I
point.
will argue the shit out of stuff I don't even know.
I can't wait.
Yeah, you get ready. You know me,
I'm
professional
so
shitter.
excited.
So first we got Shadowheart from the New World.
Uh, what ratings do we have on here? A, B, C, and D.
SABCD. I could add more if I need to. I've never
I
actually
would.
done
I
this,
would.
so I don't actually totally know how to do more. Okay, add a row below. Oh yeah, I can do more.
Yeah, do like D plus, C plus, B plus, A plus, and S plus.
Well, I'm not gonna go that far. Here's
Well, I
what I'm gonna
mean,
do.
we're gonna need them. I'm telling you now. You're gonna need like, well, it's very good, but it's not quite as good as the ones in this ranking. That's why they tend to have them. So
And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know what? I will add an F. Oh wait, no. E and F. And too angelic. You can be black.
Wow.
F.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? The colors are
So
bothering me, so we'll go boop. And then boop. Yeah, much better. And yes,
all
if
right.
we really need S plus, we can change it.
So I'm gonna be completely honest with this game. It's right in the fucking middle.
Oh, Shadowheart from the New World?
Right in the middle. It's a downgrade from its previous game in most capacities, in terms of the story, the intrigue, the characters. The gameplay doesn't enhance very much at all.
So here's
The game,
my argument as somebody who has not played the previous game. The gameplay's still great, right? Even if it's
right?
not like an upgrade, it's still great. You know, all the characters. There's a wide variety of party members. And they all play very differently. You know,
Okay.
we got like this chick in summon. This guy's got math. He's got detective items from math. We've got the ninja from where was he from?
I don't remember because it's been a while since I played
He's
it,
like
but
an
I know what
American
you're
ninja.
talking
He's from
about.
America. We got Mariachi who has a flamethrower in his guitar. We've got stupid
Right.
shit. And
I mean,
I
that's
think another
not a
thing I
determinant
love
of
about this
good.
game is even if the plot's not as good, the writing is funny as shit. This game is funny.
That it's not intentionally funny though.
I
That's
think it
that.
is.
So no, it's not.
Can you
No,
look
it's
at
not.
Frank and the mariachi with the flamethrower and tell me
As
this is not
somebody who played the
intentional?
previous game, leading into this game, they didn't mean for it to be, and there's a reason why. Because the previous one was played so seriously.
I know the first two were played really seriously. They're like
Right,
action
right, but you
horror
know,
games.
but you don't. So what I'm telling you is the lead into this game is a serious lead in. They dropped the ball on the story. You like memes, but this game is not an intentional meme, therefore it is a
I
fail.
think it is intentional though. There's too much.
No,
There's too
no.
much for me to be like
People
this
can
is not
just be
intentional.
bad. People can just be bad at making games when they make a sequel, Jesse.
I
People
think
can be.
it feels like when I play a
You've
Yakuza game.
got a conspiracy brain.
It feels like when I play a Yakuza game where when you get to like the main plot, it's like all right, all this serious stuff.
But Yakuza's consistent.
But when it comes
You
to all the
realize the
side
difference
shit
here.
and the characters themselves,
doesn't
it
matter.
gets really goofy again.
It doesn't matter. Yakuza is consistent with this. This is not. You're wrong.
Likewise, I think the gameplay itself is also really good. I think this is a B. Even if
The
it ends up a
gameplay
low
is
B.
average. Nuh-uh. The game is average. In terms of the combat, it's good. The story is bad. And
Alright, I'll put
I
it
mean,
as mid
that
as
would-
fuck. Tier.
oh, I mean, it is mid as fuck.
Alright.
That's what if they made it like a Covenant again, it would have been like a B plus
You know what?
or something.
I haven't played this game in a while, so maybe there are things I'm forgetting.
What is it?
Oh, no, I'm talking Shadowheart. But the next game, we have Mario and Luigi, Superstar Saga.
You know what? This is why I wanted the plus categories, because I want to give it a B plus.
A B plus. Well, here's the thing. Like, these things can be ordered, like, I could rate this thing, like, below Shadowheart, or I could do it above. So I could still order it within its own tier.
So I think it's a high B. Not because it's bad, but because like the constraints of the console get in the way, and that's going to happen with some of these.
I don't know if
it
does, because when I think about...
Oh, it really does.
Sorry, what?
It really does. If you think of how Thousand Year Door handles its console, I mean, this game, if it was on GameCube, would have been a much better game with the gameplay it had to give you.
So I know
The
this one
console
came
was on
out
how it had.
before Thousand Year Door. This is in between Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door.
Right, but it came out after Paper Mario. So, like, the combat and console ability is still there. So, like, I guess what I'm asking is, do you think that this game would have been better on a console with the mechanics they were trying to build into it? Or do you think it could only work?
When I look
Okay,
at
so
the...
it could only work on Game Boy Advance is what you're saying.
when I
That's where
look
it
at
only
this, hold
works.
on, stop interrupting me, Joey. Let me talk for a sec.
Well, I wasn't done, damn
Well,
it.
you keep interrupting me, man. I
I
opened this,
didn't. I
I
wasn't
started
done.
talking, and then you started talking. I was like, well, let me talk for a sec.
You gotta let me
Pause.
finish
Let
what
me
my
have my
point is.
turn, Joey. This is a turn-based
You,
system. It doesn't matter if you have more things to
you
do
gotta let
after
me
my
finish
turn.
my
You
point.
gotta let me have my turn.
I didn't. I didn't. I
You
just had
get
to
one
finish what I
action per
was
turn,
saying.
Joey.
I get you. You're right, and I get to finish that action, right? You don't get to just cut in before I'm done, right? Who's interrupting who here,
All right,
Bucko?
fine. Go ahead.
I was saying you got to make sure you have a good point to showcase that this game is, in fact, only built for Game Boy Advance. Because the way it is these mechanics could easily translate to a console, and I think they'd thrive because they'd be able to have a little bit more verbosity in there.
So,
Now it's your turn.
here's what I think, right? I think, what can you do in this game compared to Thousand Year Door, right? How
Right.
much is in this game? This game has a lot of different enemies in it. It has a lot of different sprites. It has a lot of
Agreed.
different areas to go into. What you can do
Agreed.
with each bro is different. You have 5 moves. You have 3 basic attacks, 5 special attacks, and then the branches off of those special attacks. So you've got a variety of moves you can do in the middle of the battle.
Yep.
Every enemy is animated differently, like different animations
Yep.
on each enemy, everything else. I think this is a full RPG, and even if you were to transfer it over, you wouldn't have much to actually add. Maybe a few visual flares here or there, but I think you wouldn't actually add that much. I don't think this game has held back, because one of the things I love about this game is the sprite work. The sprites in this game are some of my favorite of all time. You will be hard pressed to find games that out sprite this game in the terms of details and just fun animations that it does. So I don't think this game ever is hampered by being on the Game Boy. In some ways, like with the sprites, I think it actually thrives on the Game Boy. I think some of its personality would be dropped. And one of the best parts of that about this game is that it's kind of really easy to just pick up and play. Although there's
Sure.
depths to the mechanics, at the end of the day, it is pretty simple. And so and I think that's kind of the point. This is a game. This is an RPG. You can just grab, pick up, play, enjoy the story. Because not even the story, but the writing at least is really funny. And I think it's just an overall really enjoyable game that I don't think being on the Game Boy is really hampering it at all. I don't think it'd be suddenly a lot better on a console.
So, first thing to that, assuming that you can't have a bit game on a console is brave. You can, and they've done it.
Oh, you
You
can,
actually
but
get
I don't
more
think
of it.
it'd be
Right. Hold
better
on.
or worse.
Hold on. Who's interrupting who?
Uh-huh.
So, I think that it is objectively better when you have more space to perfect your bit work. Look at every single Game Boy Advance game, and then look at the ones that they put on console. It's a duh because yes, because they have more access to more bits, Jesse. That just makes it look better. This isn't a I think it looks better thing. This is a factual fact.
Hold on. We just had this argument last time about rounded corners and stuff. Sometimes just being highly stylized and good with sprites.
No.
can
I'm not
easily
saying
make up
rounded
for
corners
that.
necessarily. I'm not saying that. Look at fucking Octopath. Shading is a thing. You know, dimensionality is a thing that you can't necessarily get on a Game Boy Advance.
Comparing a Switch game.
Okay. First off, don't mischaracterize my point here.
No,
I
with a
deviated
GameCube
and pointed
era
out.
game, you have to compare it to
Hold
other
on,
GameCube games.
Jesse. I was not comparing it to the game. I was saying look at the different things as an aspect of a game. You fool who doesn't notice points.
Alright.
My point was there's shading that you can add to these games on a console. It doesn't matter if it's something like fundamentally like, oh, I think they're the same. It's
I
fundamentally
don't think
not
you
because
need.
they have.
Sorry, I'll let you finish.
So you can add a dimensionality that is not available to you in a Game Boy Advance game. That's fact. It's a fact. You can do it with sprites. That is also a fact. You can do it while adding more content or more maybe sprites even to the game, because if we work sprites on a console, that's basically giving you more room to do everything else because it takes so little width to do it
So that's
compared to polygon work.
kind of my point, though. I don't think anything you just said matters to this game specifically. It's highly
Right, but it
cartoony,
would add.
visuals, don't need really
You-
shading. It's already got sprites out the wazoo. It doesn't need more
Shading
sprites.
helps. Shading helps.
Not as much as you would
Sprites
think,
help.
though. Not enough that I'm like, wow, this game would be so
Enough
much
that it would
better.
make it a better game, yes.
I don't think it would.
And also,
I
you'd be able
think
to
it'd
add more
just-
attacks, you'd be able to add more
I
side
think it'd
content,
just
you'd
be
be
the
able to
kind
make
of
it
minor bells and whistles that just don't matter. Because you want to know what?
A full RPG,
bring this to...
Jesse.
Oh, hold on. They did bring this to the console. It's on the Switch. They added all the best bells and whistles that you're talking about. It is the worst selling game on the Switch. So it did not need
It
it.
isn't sold yet! What are you talking about? It's not even out!
Mario
Brotherhood
Luigi's-
has...
No, Mario Luigi's-
Brothership isn't out yet.
No, I'm not talking Brothership. This game, Superstar Saga, is on the Switch, been remade on the Switch. The fact that you
It wasn't remade!
Yes, it was. Yes,
it was on the 3DS, you idiot!
Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga remake.
It's on the 3DS, you're gonna feel real dumb.
Let's see. Oh, it is on the 3DS. No, wait, that's Bowser's
Which is
Inside
enough-
Story.
No, they did it on the 3DS.
Hold on, wait a minute.
And they did it really overtly stylized in a way that I did not recommend they do. Therefore, it does not tie in to my point.
Oh, it was on the 3DS, you're right. But here's the thing, the 3DS is more powerful.
doesn't tie into my point.
Do the shading and stuff that you were talking
It
about.
didn't tie into my point, though. It's nothing to do with what I said. It's nothing to do. I never said remake the whole game. Did I? I never did. What I said to do was if you have the game as it is on a console, you could do more with the game on a console than you could do on a Game Boy. That's just a fact, Jesse. I'm sorry if you don't agree for
Oh, I
whatever
know you can
reason.
do more, but just because you can't do
You
more
were
doesn't mean
saying
need
you
to.
can't. I think that
No,
it would
what I'm
benefit
saying
the
is you don't
game's
need to.
integrity.
You don't always need to do more. Sometimes the game is perfect the way it is, Joey.
The game is not under complex. The game has complexities there. Therefore, acting like we don't get to add any more is, in fact,
Oh, there is complexities
Not
there,
good.
but you don't need to add more. I think
why
it's fine.
wouldn't you want to? Why can't you add like a mini game section to a game to give it a little bit more life? Why can't? Because like, I'll be real. The big issue with RPGs, there's no fucking reason to play through them again. And you know what's really good about a game on a Game Boy Advance? Usually you want to play through them again. You know what sucks about this game? It doesn't encourage multiple playthroughs.
I played through this game 1,000 times. I think it's just funny enough and enjoyable.
You're autistically obsessive, though. That's not the same.
Eh,
Like, for an average gamer, somebody who plays a game and just plays it to play through it.
I mean, I'm gonna
Usually
be
a game...
honest. If we're talking about not being able to replay, I think pretty much most of these games is gonna be down a level.
I agree! And that's going to be... Well, it's not a level
But,
knocker. I'm
Joey,
adding multiple things to
I
the
enjoy
listing.
replaying RPGs just for the sake of replaying them.
I think that
I
we need
enjoy
to take an
RPGs
objective
enough to
take
be
of
like,
this.
I want to play through this again.
Right, but objective take. Objective take is, even if I enjoy playing through an RPG multiple times, do the majority of people enjoy
I
playing
mean,
through
that
it?
argument can be made for any genre. It's like, well, I just finished this shooter.
It's true. It's true. But you know what we can do? We can take our heads out of our butts, not think about ourselves the entire time, and try to think for the populace and what is normal in
I
society.
am trying to think about for the populace and what's normal for the society.
No, you're thinking about yourself. You're thinking about how you,
no,
you
no,
literally
no,
just
hold
said,
on,
I do it.
hold on. People who enjoy replaying games that they like, that's normal. That's not abnormal.
relatively true, but
And I think
RPGs are
if
one
we're
of the.
talking like super general populace, the super general populace are either playing a game once because they're not interested in games and somebody just threw it in front of them, at which point they're never
That's
going
not
to
true.
replay it, or they're just getting into video games and they'll probably replay
The,
it if they enjoy it.
there's a very, very minute amount of people that play through multiple RPGs over and over again. You're part of the minority. The a majority of every RPG that is played through multiple times on average tend to be the heavy hitters, and only the heavy hitters. So like I would put Thousand Year Door above this game because people would play through it multiple
But here's the
times.
thing, Mario Luigi's not a long game. You can crush this game out like 2 days.
But
It's
you
not
can't
that long.
skip cutscenes, which makes it feel long.
Yeah, but some of the fun of this game is the writing. It's
Yeah,
funny,
but
it's
not 50 times,
enjoyable.
not multiple times in a row.
Maybe not in a
Maybe for
row,
you.
but you'll replay it eventually. You'll be like, man, that game was funny. I'm going to replay it.
Okay, so I think that this is a high B
I think it's a high
purely
B
because of
too.
what it's lacking though. As an RPG, it's stuck on a console that does not specialize in RPGs. Even though they made great games, they all would have been better.
I
Like
mean, I
another
think
one,
you're underestimating the
Golden
value of being
Sun.
able to just pick up and play a game.
I think you can pick up and play most games, Jesse. The value of a game like that is, in fact, accessibility, which this does have, but at the same time, it is also amount of stuff you can enjoy within the game.
Hmm.
Like, do I run out of things to enjoy faster than you? It sounds like it. At the same time, like as I was going to say, another good example of this is Golden Sun, which is a series that was wasted on a handheld. That series was way too good to be on a handheld.
Okay, Golden Sun's weird because it had a whole mechanic that encouraged you to get sun, and that could only be done on a handheld.
Right. And they also should never have had that mechanic, right?
I don't
Right.
know.
Right. They should never have had that mechanic, right?
I don't know. I
Why the
guess
fuck would you have a mechanic like that when other people don't always live where there's sun, Jesse?
you don't need much sun. You could also just like leave it outside for a while in the cloudy day and just wait for like 2 hours.
Wow, yeah, that's so much better. Jesse, shut your mouth. Golden Sun is another game that belonged on a console. But I digress. Let's move on. We've decided high B.
Okay,
What's the
we got
next one?
Chocobo Mystery Dungeon. I have no idea where to put this one. I've never played it.
So, as a deference for this one, it is a mystery dungeon game for most people who play the mystery dungeon games. They did start out as Dragon Quest games, and they deviated and pulled into Chocobo, and the Chocobo series of games that came out around the late 90s, early 2000s. So there was a couple other ones too, like Chocobo Card Battle, which
I'm
I
sorry,
have
was it
family
Final
that
Fantasy
plays
originally?
that.
I thought it was its own thing for a while.
Huh?
I thought Mystery Dungeon started as its own thing.
No, it was Dragon Quest.
Huh.
Yeah. And when Dragon Quest wasn't selling, they moved it over to Final Fantasy because Final Fantasy was selling. And because Chocobo's series of games stopped selling, they put it over to Pokemon. You get my meaning?
Well, I'm gonna double check this because I heard something different. I got double check. Most were developed by Chunsoft. Now Spike Chunsoft. That don't sound like Dragon Quest. When co-creator of Dragon Quest was inspired, Windows and mobile. You can keep talking. I'm just looking this up.
No, I'm letting you read because you got to finish your reading.
Yeah, I
first.
guess Torneko was first. Yeah, okay, you're right.
Yeah, I know.
Well, immediately like that, it was Sheer and the Wanderer, so they dropped off of that almost immediately. Oh.
I told you, but like, yeah, no, 2 for 2, Jesse. Keep doubting me.
Fine. I listen. I wasn't
Whoa.
doubting. I just wanted to double check that one because I heard different, and it's like, all right, fine. I'll double check that.
Yeah.
Don't have to be a hater about it. I want to make sure we're.
You're the one who didn't believe me. You don't get to say that.
What? Shit.
What do you mean? Don't be a hater.
I wasn't hating. I was just like, all right, let's double check, making sure you're right.
I just didn't
I
believe what
heard
you said.
differently
Uh,
from where it was, and I want to double check to make sure you, I'm not being gaslit. All right, you know.
oh yeah. Well, they gaslit you. So Chocobo Mystery Dungeon is basically a story-driven mystery dungeon where you're the pet of a character. You're the pet chocobo of a character of a Final Fantasy game. You're on the side of a Final Fantasy game, which is actually kind of a cool concept. The world kind of changes as you go about the story, and like you have like underlying effects to the world. I think a cool piece of this too is we didn't include this on the thing because it's a bar based combat system, but Final Fantasy Maxima, God, what the fuck? Final Fantasy World of Final Fantasy, has a similar evolution mechanic to their Final Fantasy monsters as this game, which is probably a part of the reason why they're like, we're going to make this Pokemon. Because why the fuck wouldn't we? The game's very charming. But unfortunately, because it's a mystery dungeon game and an earlier one at that, but a remake of an earlier one, mind you, but like still, you know what I mean? I would put it at a high C.
I see.
Yeah, I'd put it above New World.
Gotcha. All right, I don't have anything to say. I haven't played it.
No, I know, that's fine.
I do have a lot to say about Final Fantasy Tactics A2. My God, this is not
That's
a
all
word
you,
at
baby.
all.
That's all you, baby. It's all you.
Okay.
I personally think it's an A.
I think so too. Probably lower A because the plot's a little but so okay. So Final Fantasy Tactics as a series, and I've got the other Final Fantasy Tactics on here, so we'll talk about those when we get to those. Is a large game, you know, that everybody loves as as a turn-based RPG grid strategy hybrid. It's still turn-based even though it's a strategy hybrid, so we counting it. And Tactics A2 for me has I think has the best gameplay of the series. And a lot of people haven't played A2. A lot of people like kind of forget about A2 simply because the plot's not as good as Advance, and Advance had a really good plot. So a lot of people see A2 as a downgrade when I don't think so. Because I'm not gonna talk about the plot. The plot is guy gets transported to the other world, figures out a way to untransport himself. Woo. Amazing. But where it kind of comes into clutch on the story is that there are a lot of side stories in the game. And I do remember there being some side stories in Advance, but in this game, there's a lot of side stories. Like, I guarantee you, if you were to just go from, like, the beginning to the end of the main plot, the game would take you, like, 5 hours. Instead, by doing all the side story, this game will take you, like, 200 hours. Because there are that many freaking side stories. And some of them are pretty good. Like, you gotta look at the side story. You gotta look at the Dark Brotherhood of this game, you know? To really get the good plot. And in terms of gameplay, it's kind of advanced but better. You know, you've got more classes. They removed some of the stupider classes. They've added some cooler classes. I'm not going to go into finer details because I can't remember what was and was not in Advanced. Because it's been a while since I played these games. But I think the big change that also really helps the gameplay over Advanced is the judge system. In Advanced, you have this judge system where you have a judge on the field, and he'll tell you not to do something, and if you don't do it, he'll suddenly activate and go around deleting your units. This is annoying as fuck because sometimes the rules can be as stupid as don't get put to sleep by your enemies. Well, good. I'm glad I have so much control over that one. In this one, they change it. Instead of going around deleting your units, he simply makes it so that you can't revive your people. And also, if you can manage to get to the end without, breaking the law, um, you'll get a bunch of extra bonuses. So it incentivizes you to follow the rules, but it's not game ending to not follow the rules.
Right.
Not being able to revive your people is annoying, but if you're good at the game, you're probably not gonna get. It's probably not gonna get in your way too badly. you, you probably shouldn't be building your squad around whether or not you around dying anyways. That's a poor strategy if you're planning on dying. But yeah, I think and I guess just overall in the taxes generally, the class system has a lot of depth to it. You have your classes, you unlock them through side quests, and you have your Final Fantasy 12 races because this takes place in Final Fantasy 12 world. This was an Evilist game, which means it's full of juicy lore and it has the Final Fantasy 12 races, which are some of the best in the series. And you have your different races. Each one has their own classes, and then it has the traditional Final Fantasy class system way of you have your main class, and then from the classes the other classes the characters use, you can use your secondary classes. So you can have a set from one class, a set from the other class, and then you can also equip like passives and counterattacks from the other classes. Counterattacks being a reaction to your opponent's stuff, and then passives. So you can build up each of your units to just mix and match some of the stupidest fucking shit ever by mix maxing certain classes. You have a wizard guy, right? Well, maybe you take from the fighter class the ability to always carry shields, and instead of giving your wizard guy a wand, you just give him 2 shields. And now you have a wizard with 2 shields who's effectively impossible to kill because the wizard suddenly has a shit ton of defense, and wizards have good special defense, magical defense. You got a wizard firing fireballs that can't be killed. It's like, well, good luck on that shit. So yeah, in terms of just like mixing maxing your classes and stuff, and all the other stuff I just mentioned, I think it's just a good hard upgrade on the tactics in terms of gameplay. In terms of story, you have to go into the side stories to get good stuff. The main story is a big nothing burger, but yeah. I think it's a solid A.
Fair enough.
It'll probably end up at the bottom of the A's, but I think it's a solid A.
Yeah, fair enough.
Also, it has that pick up and play aspect being on a handheld that Mario and Luigi has, so extra
I think
bonus.
pick up and play for RPGs is a really bad selling point for an RPG.
It depends on the kind of RPG, because like I mentioned...
Hold on. Building up an RPG to sit down and play it is the point of an RPG, because it's all about the story's progression more often than not. We add these other things as kind of asides, which is great, but that's the big thing about RPGs, is they are story driven.
So
that's the thing that gets you to sit down.
Say that like this game kind of doesn't have that problem because it's so side story focused. What you'll do is you'll pick up a side story, be like, all right, spend an hour doing a level off of that side story, and it's like, well, that's a good way to put it down. Like, since it's so segmented in spots and like you do one, then you do the other, and then you do the other, it's so segmented that it becomes a lot easier to pick up and play than other RPGs. Even more so than like Mario and Luigi would. Since it's like solid levels instead of just like a straight shot, it helps. You won't forget what you're doing at least.
I think that's a part of the reason the story doesn't succeed in that game, though.
Well, the main story, especially since
because it doesn't have a real focus. It kind of just deviates so much. And that didn't do it any service. I think that's a big thing with RPGs is you need kind of a focus to surround, and then like you surround it.
But yeah, next is this one's gonna be hard. Blue Dragon. I'm gonna say E for this one.
I would do low D.
Probably low D, but we can discuss it here.
Yeah. The art's still great.
Well, it's
First off,
okay. First of
the
all, Akira Toriyama, right? Art's still great.
yeah,
I personally do think that he was kind of phoning it in a little bit here, just a little
sure, but
bit.
Akira Toriyama's entire art style is about phoning it. So like,
That's true.
what? Who cares?
It's
Who
weird
cares? It's
because a
still good.
guy who like intentionally makes goofy designs, phoning it in is like I can feel the difference, but
Not really.
sometimes
Yeah, like
sometimes
who
I can feel
cares?
the difference. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Sometimes I can feel the difference, and most of the time I can't.
I mean, the big thing to note here too with Akira Toriyama conceptual phoning it in is the story of Blue Dragon is where it really suffers.
I don't even know
'Cause
if I could say it's like the overall story because if you were to look at, the main villain is a fantastically evil bastard. Fantastically evil,
I
On
mean, he's
paper,
like
I don't hate the main characters. Where I think it really falls apart is just in the writing.
the writing is just as bad in the show as it is in the game, but the characters themselves, their motivations are just lackluster and basic. It feels like Akira wanted to make 3D Chrono Trigger and he just failed. I also think the idea of having stands.
I think it's cool, but ultimately, I don't think it adds anything to the game. Like they could just not have the stands and nothing would be different.
Yeah, no, because it's not like Legend of Dragoon where you have it doesn't function like a game that should function like.
Well, it's not like
Uh,
Persona either, where you can switch your stand out. It's like, no, you got the same stands; they do the same
oh no,
thing.
no, I'm observing this as a stand. So like the comparison here would be Legend of Dragoon with personalized affinity. Um, and I think that the thing that was missing from this wasn't necessarily that the gameplay is some of the blandest RPG gameplay I've ever seen, and it's part of the reason why a lot of the good RPGs on the Xbox didn't get shown off as much, because this one had the most showcasing, and it flopped so hard.
I will also say, in regards to the gameplay, is that this game, because this game also steals a lot from other games, has the Final Fantasy class system. You have a main class, and then you have a subclass based on other classes you've built, right? Simple, cool, customizable. Usually really good. Here's the problem. Every character unlocks classes at different rate at different points of the story, so the amount of customization you can really do is pretty limited per character. Main character starts off as a fighter, and he's the only one who can do the fighter class for a while. And then when you unlock more classes, maybe he just doesn't unlock the white mage, so you can't have a white mage fighter combo. And it starts to really hamper your customization by having certain characters only unlock certain classes at certain times.
Right. But either way, I think this is low D,
Low D.
just because it's not close to the worst of the worst.
Oh, let's not even forget the nothing system that kind of ruined my gameplay. Sorry.
That's fair.
Okay, so here's the thing. You can investigate everything in the game. Everything in the game is investigatable. You can push A on anything. Maybe you get an item. Maybe you get nothing, right? Simple, alright?
Hmm.
Except when I say you get nothing, I mean you get nothing. There's a trader in the game who will trade you the nothing you get in order for like rare items. It's like the mini medals, except there are also mini medals in this game, so whatever. Yes, there are mini medals in this game. Fuck, this game's ripping other things off like that, man. And what this ends up going means that in every screen, you are rubbing against the wall, mashing the A button to collect all of the nothing on the screen. And for every goddamn screen of the game, it's like, ugh. And then it's like, there's a part of me that's like, well, maybe I shouldn't waste my time on this. On the other part of me, some of the best items of the game can only be gotten through all this nothing. And the trader only shows up at certain points of the plot, so you never know when you get just dropped by him. He's not in a set location. Sometimes there'll be a part of the plot where you're like leaving a castle and the trader will be like, oh, I'm here, trade all your nothing now or hold your tongue. And it's like, fuck you.
Hey Jesse, you have a duplicate on your list.
Yeah, I know I did. I mentioned that earlier. Well,
Okay,
just not deal with that when it shows up.
gotcha. All right, next game. What is it?
Actually, I want to talk about the first Disguise before I talk about this one. Where's the first Disguise?
Oh, Disguise is all yours, baby. I don't have anything good to
Okay.
say about any games made by those fuckers.
You hate them, don't you?
I hate Disgaea. I hate Hyperdimension. I think they all aren't good.
Okay. First Disguise. I would put it as an A.
Nope, nope, nope. Put it
Okay,
down.
B, fine.
You get low B.
I'll give it high B.
I will.
Hold on.
No, I'll allow it a low B.
Shh. Shh. Hold on a second. Shh. Let me
You're lucky
talk.
I'm not saying C.
Shh. I know you're. I know you hate this game, but shh. Let Daddy talk for a little bit here. um. So first of all, first Disgaea game. The writing is not awful yet. This is at the beginning of the series, beginning of NAS, before they flanderize their own writing to oblivion. All right.
Keep going. Keep going.
You know, the characters are decently likable. They got good motivations. They got good plot. You know, Laharl's got a good, coming of age story. You know, all that good stuff. The angel girl learns that maybe the world's not all sunshines and roses throughout the stuff. You know, all that good stuff. All the Josie stuff. Where Disgaea comes in clutch is the gameplay. The gameplay is, a turn-based RPG like Final Fantasy Tactics. You have your own characters. You have classes that you recruit and that you add. And what this game does amazingly is the sheer amount of min-maxing options you usually have throughout Disgaea. I can't remember exactly what the first game has that's missing. That's missing in the first game that they add later in other games. But I'm just gonna kind of go off that when you pick even when you first pick a class to generate a character for, you can pay more money to give them better base stats, meaning that grinding money can give you better stats. You can go to the item world and take an item, go through a mini dungeon, upgrade the stats of that item. You can what else can you do? You can, once you finish the game, this is only when you finish the game, you can reset a character to up the level cap on them. Thus, going beyond 99, going up into the thousands to the ridiculous, you can go up to level 999,000, and there are super bosses that require you to do that. This gets absolutely insane. And this is all, all that 999,000 stuff is all in the end game. You don't have to deal with that bullshit number stuff if you don't want to. In the main game, if you're just trying to get to the end of the main story, it's usually you'll be finished by level 50 or 60, normal RPG stuff. You can do fun RPGs, turn-based stuff like picking up and throwing your teammates. This allows you to increase your movement, gives you a lot of tactical options where you move the right guy to the right position. There are attacks that and you can also pick up your opponents and throw them to get them into positions for special attacks. There are stuff like geoblocks that allow you to change the tiles and damage enemies, and that's a whole complicated system I'm not going to get to, but it's deep and full. This game does require a lot of thought into what you do and what order you do it and when you do it. And who you bring to each fight. Having a variety of people in the wing for each fight so you have the right guy for the right time is very useful, which requires more min-maxing. Can get a little grindy sometimes. That's fine. Not so bad in the first game. We'll talk about the next game.
All right.
And I think in terms of gameplay, this is one of the best turn-based strategy games around. And in this one, the characters are still likable. The characters are still good. The plot's still good. It's not terrible yet.
Okay. Hold up. Okay. I got some bones to pick with you, buddy.
Sometimes still funny.
So, hold up. That's a basic bitch anime boy plot line, and everybody knows it. It's awful.
Okay,
it's not worse than the new. It's not. Hold on. It's not worse than the new ones, but it doesn't have enough underlying to cut through that fact. I know you're going to be like, if we're going to go there, we're going to talk about Persona. Persona deals with actual societal
No, I
issues
mean we're gonna
with
have
an
to get into
actual.
most of the games on this list.
Well, no, 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 hold on. Yes, yes, we should. If you're going to bone pick with Blue Dragon ripping things off, then be consistent, right?
No, I know.
Be consistent. So fuck it for that. That's not a good story writing element. Also, the gameplay, while being relatively solid once you get into the meat and potatoes of it, it suffers from the fact that unfortunately, grid-based games they don't dare take too many liberties on how the game itself actually plays overarchingly. Like even this game, with them adding a couple of pretty interesting things, doesn't change the formula enough for it to even it's 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 something that it's like if you had somebody watch you play this game and then watch you play another game, they'd probably note one or two differences from the top down of another grid-based game. Because grid-based games have that curse where developers just don't dare. And when they do, it's the wrong thing, right? You were talking about the sequels, right? When they do dare, it's the wrong thing. But that this game suffers from a lot of those things. While it's not bad objectively, I think because of the fact that it is what it is, and it's not the best in class of what it is, mind you. Like this is no A2 in terms of gameplay and versatility. Um, and also in the story department, Disgaea has never had the most consistently good writing ever, unfortunately. Um, the reason I don't like this game is because I was excited for this game, Jesse, and it let me down. And the sequels only kept letting me down more. But like this one let me down. It was the first, and there was a good reason for that. Because of the things I'm saying is there are better games out there to choose from, and this one acted like it's gonna be the best one. The story of this game doesn't try to do anything daring. It doesn't try to tell any message that's interesting. It goes with demon meets angel. And it's fucking what? So I don't think it's a C, but I think it's a low B.
I think it's
Um,
I think it's a low A because I like the gameplay a lot. But I will do high B as a middle. Because
I
I
mean,
know a lot of this is your own personal disappointment. It's like anti-nostalgia. Remember what we said about nostalgia
well,
when we were discussing this yesterday? We
it's
have to
it's
go.
it's true. But there's also the fact that I'm telling an objective writing fact. You said the writing's good, and then you gave an example of a basic story, and that's not good writing.
Oh
Like,
my! I have played a lot. I haven't played this game in a while, so a lot of my memory's not so good. But I do remember a lot of the like smaller moments are usually what sell me on it.
I think that's one of the big things we need to notate here. What's good writing in 2024? We need to gauge good writing because, like, I'm going to be shitting on some of those older RPGs, Jesse,
Oh, I
even though
will
I
be
like them.
too. Oh, you know me.
Oh, like there are some you don't know, but like you'll be hearing me be like, "I want you to put this on this deck." This game is dog shit now. But that's one of those things where I'm like, the bar is so much higher now that even if back when it was made initially, it was a good game, it might not be as good as it was. Final Fantasy set hot take. Final Fantasy VII's initial story is not nearly as good as a lot of their RPGs today's story. It's telling that they had to make multiple games to flesh out their world.
Anyways,
But
all right, let's go on to Disgaea 6.
that
I will
oh
eat that shit. So
put it on D. The gameplay is okay.
hold on, no, I don't
Low
think the
D.
game. No, hold on.
Gameplay's
I do
okay.
not think the gameplay is so okay.
I played bad. I played bad grid base before, Jesse. That's not the worst grid base I've ever played
Here's
at
my
all.
problem with it. Fine, I will put it at low D, but let me at least make my point as to why I think it's an E.
That's fine. I just want to make sure you don't like poison that low well for us. Where I'm like, no, that doesn't belong with like Quest
I will
64.
I will poison this game. I will poison this already poisoned well. Thank you very much. I will pee in this poisoned well. Anyways, okay. So this game, first of all, this is when NES has completely finalized its characters. Everybody's generic. I don't give a fuck about any of them. I hate all of them. They're flanderized and such. From day one, they're characterizations of themselves. Flanderized versions of themselves to the point where I hate every single character. Second of all,
Right.
there are like 8 main characters in this game. You can have 10 characters on the field. That means you have, if you are using every character, which you should, because you want to keep them leveled, you have 2 open slots for characters, customized characters into your slot. And that means that your team's going to be lacking in customizability, which I said is great in Disgaea. Third of all, remember what I said about reincarnation and getting characters into higher levels, and you know, when you reincarnate a character, and I sort of have this problem with Digimon, but like when you reincarnate a character, they go back to level 1, but they don't lose all their stats. The level 1 characters reincarnate 10 times is like a million times stronger than a level 1 character who's reincarnated once. Simple enough. This is unlocked at the beginning. In previous Desire games, this was for after game shit, you know? This was for the min-maxing, obsessive, crazy people. This is in the beginning. This is open from the beginning of this game. This drives me fucking insane because I have no idea how strong my characters are half the time. I will go into a fight and I'll be like, alright, my level 10 characters versus your level 10 characters, and then get absolutely bodied. And then the next fight, after I've grinded the shit and reincarnated them sometimes, I will bring these level 12 characters into fight against other level 12 characters and destroy them. Because I have no fucking clue how strong my own guys are. I don't know what the fuck they are. I can look at their stats and like analyze every stat versus every stat and figure out how strong they are. But if fucking trying to make characters, I can't just look at them and discover.
I get it. No, I get it. Devil's advocate, obviously. That's more of a personal issue of you not paying attention to the stats.
But that's,
of not paying attention to the stats.
But you have
that's an issue, not an issue.
The fact that after every time I level up or reincarnate, I have to analyze every stat of every character every time they level up, because sometimes when they level up, they'll get a whole bunch of stats. Sometimes they won't.
It's a strategy game, Jesse.
It's the point where I'm just like,
it's a strategy game, Jesse. That's a part of them.
Listen, one of my favorite games is Troubleshooter. That's a game where you look at the stats and you fine-tune and shit. But the fact is, every time you do anything, the stats swing so much that you have to spend an hour looking at every stat after every step. Every step you have to spend an hour looking at every stat. And there's such a swing. And plus, every time you reincarnate them, you have to grind them back up. Probably. Maybe. I can't tell half the time. Because I can never tell how strong the enemies are going to be.
Oh, I know for a fact that you can get a scope on what the enemy's power is going to be. I know for a fact you can get a scope on what your power is going to be in those games. This is still saying this is low D, mind you.
But the fact that I have to, like, at the beginning of every fight, I just have to, like, stare at the stat screen. I can't rely on the level.
But, like, it doesn't take an hour, first off. I know that's an exaggeration.
Sometimes it does.
Second off, no, if it takes you an hour, then that's you. Because it does not take me an hour.
Like, I want to compare it to, like, Pokemon, right? I have 6 characters compared to this game's 10. And I can look at all my Pokemon stats and get a feel for their stats, right? That usually remains pretty consistent. This guy's a good attacker, he has good attack stats. This guy's a good defense person.
They fluctuate. I get where you're going.
And in Pokemon. And when I look at my opponent's Pokemon, even if I don't know that Pokemon's specific stat spread, I can look at that thing being like 5 levels higher than my Pokemon and be like, alright, probably not going to win this. Maybe. I mean, maybe I could strat that through, maybe I can't. And whether or not I know my opponent's stats or not, whatever. And that's really nice to have. Just having a general feel at all times really helps with the strategy. Because in Disgaea, you could be fighting like 30 people at once, and just having to be like, I don't know what these guys are capable of. Because all the enemies could have different, like, equipments that could throw things completely different.
You know what I think is throwing you? Because I think this is an issue. I'm gonna explain my thought. I think that you look at numbers and there are too many for you to process properly.
It's bad in this game. In previous Disgaea,
Because it takes me like maybe 5 minutes to look through a whole crew of like 50 characters in a fight. It takes me 5 minutes.
well, here's the thing though. I mentioned the item world earlier. Item world's kind of a mess,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the thing with the item world is that it's like when you level up items, what you do in the item world changes what stats the item gets, right? So a level
Right.
5 sword is very different from the other person's level 5 sword. Your level 5 shield is different from the other person's level 5 shield. When you add that
Right.
with all of the reincarnation mess, and mind you, when you're reincarnating, what stats you get do depend on other factors, so it's not like it's consistent with that either.
Mm-hmm.
It can just be like just this mess where like every fight, every opponent I find, I have to just stare at them to find, okay, is this guy
And I
stronger
get
than mine?
that.
And because the numbers are so big, it can be hard to gauge. Because when I look at the level 5 Pokemon, right? This guy's got 2 points attack power more than my guy. I can get a feel for how much that 2 points is. When this game is,
Right.
there are like 200, 300 point swings at the beginning of the game. Later in the game, it's like thousands point swings in one way or another between different stats. And it's like, okay, this guy's got 1,000 more attack points than me. I have 500 defense, but my special attack is, it's like, can I defeat this guy? I can't tell based on these stats.
Right.
I can't tell whether I can beat this guy even looking at the stats.
And I'm not saying you're incorrect, mind you, that the game itself is sloppily put together in this regard. I'm saying that there's an element in there that's not undoable.
And here's
It's
the
just
thing.
I think it's just
And I will defend it a little bit. In other Disgaea games, this is all reserved for the end game. Like, this kind of shit happens in the end game, which means, like, it's meant to be this obsessively, like, paranoid and, like, min-maxy and obsessive. It's just, in this game, it's hard to, like, since it's from the beginning, it's hard to get a feel for your own characters, because from the beginning, they're already going wild, and it's like, I have no idea what my own characters are capable of.
I
And
mean, I guess.
I think for like other fans of Disgaea series who want this from the beginning will probably enjoy this. But for someone who I haven't played a lot of Disgaea games all the way through, I've never actually really gone into the end game stuff in the Disgaea games. This is a lot to take in right from the beginning of the game, and it's just like, oof. It's just too much, too fast. You've got.
I mean, as I
there's
said,
a reason why games have
I-
a tutorial that's slow and starts you off at level 1.
I guess I think that this one is just like partially just an issue because I never had I didn't have a problem with that specifically. I had a problem with everything else you mentioned, just not that.
This really starts to. It just. It's like, it just wears on you, man. It just wears on you.
Well, I mean, I play Fire Emblem, so like I spend most of my time
I
keeping
played
an eye on
Fire
everybody's
Emblem.
stats. more than me.
I've done lunatic mode where you stare at every last stat and know that 1 point of difference is gonna murder the shit out of you guys. I've done
But
that.
it's not. But it's not because that's not how Fire Emblem works. It isn't just the 1 point of difference in physical attack or defense. It's also the rate and the movement rate and all of that stuff put together, and then you have to do mathematics to make them work. So Jesse, yes,
No.
it is
Sorry,
similar.
that's what Sorry, let me rephrase that. That's kind of what I meant. Like, I do the mathematics, realize that I'm like 2 points away from that guy's gonna kill me because of a 2 point difference. And I can do that on lunatic mode on Fire Emblem. I can't do that on this one. I can't do the mathematics on this game, man.
See,
This
it
game
feels
is, like,
exactly the same to me. It feels exactly the same to me.
I think.
So like I don't have any issue.
Well, I think part of the problem is usually when you do Fire Emblem, you do lunatic after you've already beaten the game. You don't start with lunatic mode. This game is starting with lunatic mode. And it's like,
Even without lunatic mode, like if you played Radiant Dawn, you know, picking normal mode is picking hard mode.
And you can work with hard mode. I've done that. It's fine. But
hard mode in any of the old Fire Emblem games is nut crunchingly hard because it's permadeath and it's unchoiceable permadeath,
and
and
that's
people
true.
don't
And this game
realize that
doesn't have
nowadays.
permadeath. If you join a fight in this game and lose, you just go back and grind for a while.
Well, you want to talk true annoyance? It is limited level up chances mixed with forced forward moving gameplay mixed with having to restart an entire mission.
Mm-hmm. But
okay,
hold on.
That's annoying.
Let me say one more thing about this guy, and this should tell you just how like annoyingly grinding this game can be sometimes. This game has a gambit system where you program your characters to fight on auto battle. This game expects you to just set this game on auto battle, enter the item world, and just leave for hours at a time. This game expects you to do this. And
right.
We were just complaining about that on Golden Sun. This game expects you to do that.
Right. Well, you were complaining about it. I didn't actually think like leaving a game on leaving a game on idle mode is different than just charging up a sun gimmick. I think those are different.
But I don't know.
Well, because one doesn't actually do any other effect but the sun, right? But moving on to the next game.
This is Origami King.
Give it a C.
Low C.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. It's once again attempting to go in the right direction, but they just don't go in the right direction nearly enough.
So this game got pretty good praise. This game, I would say, in terms of overall praise it got, would have been like a high B. The problem is, I think the only reason why this game was praised so much is because the last two games were absolute fucking shit and the bar was low.
3 games. Last 3 games, I believe, actually.
Last because 3 games were gone into Super Paper Mario. Because last 2 games were
fair.
Sticker Star
I thought
and
there were
Color
3
Splash.
more.
And I
didn't know
think
they only
Color
had 3.
Splash was as well rated as it was because of the low bar set by Sticker Star. Sticker Star is a mess. Okay, but anyway.
Sticker Star is so bad.
Sticker Star might be an F. But anyways, what was I going to say? But this game's battle system is such a nothing burger. Because what you do is you enter a fight with your opponents, you do a puzzle, and then you win. That's it. And if you don't do the puzzle well, you might take some damage and go into turn 2. But here's the thing. All the puzzles are preset. You can memorize the solutions to these puzzles with the enemy mobs. So, by the end of the game, you're fighting these mobs that you fought, or like, not even the end of the game, because each mob has its own setup. You'll be at the end of an area fighting a mob that you fought before, and you can pretty much do it with your eyes closed. You don't even need to look at the setup, because the setup is like pre-set up on like 3 different setups. So all the fights are just like, slide the thing, win. That's it. Once you know the solution to the puzzle, you've already won. And that could be an argument for a lot of RPGs, because I think ultimately most RPGs are just, have you solved the puzzle and won? But, like, there's no depth to this. There's no depth to this.
No. I mean, that's the whole thing here is, like, it's got the turn-based element, but, like, one of the biggest detriments of the new, I guess I call it, of Paper Mario games is there's no level system. There's none. There's no physical... I think I was yelling about this last night to you, even. There's no physical representation of my growth as a character. And that is a big part of why you play RPGs, is to get that physical representation of growth. It's something that's been around since the late 70s, and it's a tried and true way to gauge somebody's enjoyment.
What this game has is it has 3 different attack methods and the items. And each one of those attack methods hit a different area, which means you have to set up your puzzle to use them. You know, your hammer hits in like a cone, so if you have spiked enemies, you have to set them up in a cone area. If you have flying enemies, you have to set them up in a straight line, so you can jump on them in a straight line. The problem with that is, again, all the solutions are preset, so you already know the solution, and you know how to set up the guys to murder them. And that's about the grandest amount of death, is sometimes you have to set guys up in a cone shape instead. That's the grand death of it. And this is weird, because when you get to the boss battles, where the arena changes and you have to do like this whole like Rube Goldberg machine setup, the battles actually get kind of fun and full of and very puzzly. And I just think to myself, man, I wish the boss fights were the normal fighting methods of this game. Because you have to set up this complicated Rube Goldberg machine to solve this puzzle to defeat the boss. And yeah, it's just like they have a decent fighting system there. They just don't use it for 95% of the game. And
That's a
then in
weird
terms
choice.
of plot, it's mostly a big nothing burger. You know, you go to the area, solve the area's problem, get the stuff. There's a
Well, I
section.
mean, it's a Paper Mario plot. There's only been one that ever had any
There's a section
potatoes
with a
to it.
bomb that's pretty good, but it kind of comes to the big problem that a lot of people complained about the recent. So I'm gonna spoil it a little bit. There's a section with a bomb where you befriend a bomb. He joins your party for a little bit, for actually quite a while. Actually, he's with you for quite a while, and then your other teammate gets stuck under a rock. So the bomb sacrifices himself, blows himself up, like bombs do, dies because apparently bombs die when they blow up in the origami world. That doesn't happen in Thousand Year Door, but whatever. And two problems with this is that your bomb friend looks like every other bomb. There's no design differences between him and other bombs, and that's a complication with Origami King as a whole. Every Toad looks exactly the fucking same, except for one you meet later on, but he just has a funny outfit on. You know, everybody looks exactly the same as everybody else. There's no different characters. And second of all, later in the game, you have to raid Peach's castle by using one of Bowser's airships. The ammo you use are bombs. You kill hundreds to get to Peach's castle. This all falls apart. It's so stupid. You kill hundreds just to get to Peach's castle. It's hard to feel bad for your one bomb buddy who dies when you then proceed to use a whole bunch of them as freaking ammo, like a machine gun.
Yeah.
This guy had friends and family. This guy had a wife. This guy was a famous streamer. They're all dead because you have to kill. You kill two things with every shot. And yeah, it's just a big nothing burger. Nothing matters. It doesn't matter. There's a whole plot with Luigi involving a key that got taped to his backside, and he can't find the key. He's pretty sure it's important. It is important. He has no reason to believe it's important, and Luigi's just searching for this key, and none of the jokes involved trying to find this key are funny. Like, it's just a big nothing burger.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate fact about just like Paper Mario games now is like instead of fixing the problem, they just decided to remake the games. And I'm like, you know what? People would have probably been okay with just a port even, but like, you know, people want more new stuff with better stuff in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
what's on
just
that
realized
one.
I didn't put Lunar 1 on this. I thought I did. I could have swore I did. Alright, well, Lunar 2, I haven't actually played Lunar 2 yet.
Gotcha. Well, let's take a quick break for a little bit. We'll come back to this.
Oh, you want to take a quick break? What time is it? How long have we been talking? An hour?
About
Hey,
an hour,
break time.
yeah.
Hours at like an hour and 30, man. This is a 3-hour
Heck
discussion.
yeah.
But yeah,
Motherfucker,
alright.
I gotta take a shit.
Oh, you gotta take a shit? Oh, you gotta take a
Yeah.
poopy boy? You gotta take a big poopy boy?
Yeah.
Alright, fine, go ahead.
Then we'll come back a little later.
Alright, 10-minute break. I'll suck some water.
Okay, bye.
And while he does that, I will look up a picture for Lunar 1. Why not? Hold on, let me, I'm gonna remove this so y'all can't see what I'm doing. Y'all can't see what I'm doing. I refuse to let you. should really keep talking and stuff. You know, I was thinking to myself and getting poopy and stuff, but You know what? I'm gonna go take a piss. Alright, I'm back. I don't know if Joey is. Just gotta take a quick peek. You know, I really should get like a stream image up. But I don't know. Oh, we'll be right back. Sample for when the stream is right back and. I don't know. I'll bust up the image though. Let's look up some not RG. Right, PG. How it works in demo shot.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian. I am here today, generously at Movie Gun Services, taking a look at some neat stuff.
This guy
And
isn't some, like, crazy
while this is
right-winger.
in no way a forgotten weapon, I figured this would be a really cool opportunity to actually take a look at a live, registered, legal RPG. So
How do you
the
get legal
RPG program in
RPG?
Soviet service really has its philosophical basis in World War II Germany. The Germans developed what was called the Panzerfaust, which was a single-shot, disposable, shaped charge warhead rocket launcher. And it was used to pretty darn good effect in fighting against Allied tanks. So the idea with a shaped charge is that you're actually, basically, you're creating this very small jet of plasma that can blow its way through armor. The concept is the RPGs, let me point out, there is movable by the Russian designers. Now I have one other. All right, guys, I have here a blank 7.62 by 39 cartridge in the launcher. What to do is cock the hammer. Weapon is ready to fire.
Like, I guess you had more air to it.
Boom, direct hit.
Oh, I want an explosion.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank
Lame. How to use. Hold on. Rocket. Oh, let's go to YouTube. Hold on. This is supposed to be signed out. Don't bite me. I signed out so that nobody could see that shit. Ah, whatever. I'm sure you'll only super do this up. Alright. It's RPG7 military TV. I'm sure this is a normal YouTube channel. with normal things to show.
Against the Russian tanks present in Ukraine. However,
Oh my god. Ads! God, these things aren't working very good.
in today's ever-changing battlefield, where advanced technology dominates and military arsenals bristle with cutting-edge weaponry, one might question the relevance of a weapon born from the annals of the Cold War era.
Ooh, exploding.
Meet the rocket-propelled grenades, or RPG-7, a name with a long history in global conflicts.
I mean,
This weapon has once again come into the spotlight due to its use in the conflict in Ukraine.
This is one thing
But
I
as
know
we
about
stand on the
weaponry
cusp
is
of a new era in warfare, it begs the question.
that the simpler the better.
Is the RPG-7 still effective?
Then again, I would know how simple I
Can the
was if I
seemingly
watched the other
ancient
video all the way
anti-tank
through.
rocket launcher still claim its place as a weapon for all seasons? Stay tuned as we explore the answer to these questions.
Well, I'm trying to get those questions answered. Just tell
Recent
me.
news reports have emphasized the successful deployment of anti-tank weaponry in Ukraine, including the US-made FGM-148 Javelin and British NLAW systems.
Javelin in-law? Yeah, I
Interestingly,
suppose those would
the
be
Cold
usable.
War era RPG-7, initially designed by the Soviet Union to counter Western tanks, has demonstrated remarkable efficacy against the Russian tanks present in Ukraine. However, to fully understand its significance, we must trace the RPG-7's journey from its origin.
Yeah, I don't think Russian tanks have really evolved a lot since then.
So, when does the
So,
story of
I suppose
RPG-7 start?
if they haven't evolved, I suppose a weaponry really doesn't. If they have
The
evolved
origins
and
of
they're
the
still dying
RPG-7
for the
can be
same shit,
traced
then
back to the
really what
aftermath of
that was
World
a
War
waste of
II,
money.
when Soviet military planners sought to counter the threat
Like,
posed by
haha,
armored
we
tanks.
built better tanks. Do they survive stuff that they don't usually?
Inspired
No.
by the success of American
No, they still
bazooka
died of the same
rocket
stuff.
launchers
Well,
and German
too bad
Panzerschreck,
then.
Soviet designers embarked on creating their version of a handheld anti-tank grenade launcher. The result was the RPG-2, which, although introduced in the late 1940s, only entered service in the mid-1950s due to production
1940s.
delays. Despite
And
its
if we're talking Cold
limitations, the
War, they've gone through,
RPG-2
like,
found
5
its place
more
in Cold War
RPGs until
arsenals
we get to
around
there.
the world.
Just all RPGs.
The RPG-2 served as the precursor to the RPG-7, which made its debut in 1961.
Wow, so within
Its
7
numbering
years.
remains a mystery. The leap in numbering from 2 to 7 hints at a series of prototypes that did not meet expectations.
Oh, yeah, I guess that explains it.
The RPG-7, however, became an iconic anti-tank rocket launcher with more than 9 million units produced globally.
Yeah.
Indeed, the RPG-7 had seen it all, from the early days of the conflict when people
Okay. Yeah. But stop sucking its RPG dick. Tell us the good stuff.
To evaluate its effectiveness, first, let's see what RPG-7 is capable of. The RPG-7, a reusable single-shot smoothbore steel tube measuring 40 millimeter in diameter, boasted several improvements over its predecessor. A key feature was the addition of a wooden or bakelite cover around the barrel, protecting the operator from the heat generated during rocket launch. Furthermore, the RPG-7 introduced a second handle, enhancing grip and control for the operator. Iron sights became standard, but various optical and night vision sights could be employed,
Yeah,
enhancing its
I kinda wanna
adaptability
see what,
on
like,
the battlefield.
RPGs 3 through 6 were like.
What makes the weapon so popular is its ability to fire 4 to 6 rounds per minute, its cost-effectiveness, and ease of use. It boasts a maximum effective range of about 3,000 feet, with optimal effectiveness at approximately 650 feet. At this distance, there's a roughly 50% chance of hitting a slow-moving target like a tank or vehicle.
Heck yeah. High-speed ballistics, let's go!
Firing in 3, 2, 1. High explosive up and one of my buddies was a combat medic in the early age of the Iraq War. A human is actually soft and firing in 3, 2, 1.
No! No, I
Something
didn't
happened.
explode.
I don't think it went off. That sounded like backblast.
Aww.
So we've actually heard of these types of things happening. One of my buddies was a combat medic in the early age of the Iraq War. A human is actually soft enough that the rocket doesn't slow down fast enough. There's a little ball in there that has to slam a primer to ignite it. Impulse time is too long.
What happened to Joey?
So it's slowing down too slow. So we've added a bunch of weight and some cinder block backing to try and get that rocket to come to a dead stop.
World's biggest
and
shit.
That's when it should detonate.
Or he's
And
doing
now
something else.
our guy behind him's in even more trouble.
Yeah, because now he's going to have all of this debris right in his face.
Yep, we've got it aimed up. We're gonna try and get up a little higher so we don't have any residual damage from our first hit here. Hopefully we can come up into here and we can blow this guy up.
We at Ballistic High Speed are proud to announce that we have been picked up by Bunker Branding, which means all of our merchandise is available for purchase there, including our classic t-shirt. And you kind of became a meme.
I became a meme.
Yes.
But it's a comfy meme.
Yes, very comfortable. And so yeah, this is our backblast design from the accident. And if you want to support the channel, this is a good way to do it. If you are in the Midwest or anywhere where it's starting to get cold this time of year, consider picking up a nice comfortable sweatshirt with either of these designs or a t-shirt.
And then there's also stickers.
Yes.
Snatch them up, slap them everywhere.
Very nice vinyl stickers. I love our backblast design
I do
for
too.
the sticker. It's pretty funny. So thanks again for all your support. If you send us a selfie on social media with you in one of our design shirts or sweatshirts, we'll happily share you on our social media.
What are we? Hey. Firing in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah!
Holy sh! Holy! That's a brain.
Ooh, gooey! Yes, get that brain, man.
Skull. A lot to look at, really. What happened to this guy? He's still intact. Oh, his head is kind of off.
This smell smells familiar.
Oh, I don't think he made it.
What
That's one of those moments where, like,
happened
oh,
here?
he's still alive. No,
One
he's not.
is gone.
So that may have been a cement block just
Right. I mean, his head is borderline. I mean, that's bedded in the body. It's that same. Absolutely.
real quick before we watch some incredible heist with explosives, because it's pretty front heavy.
Oh, let's go. Big explosion. Boom! Yeah! The chunks are everywhere.
What?
Okay, hold on.
He's
I'm gonna look
gone.
up what the RPG
It's no
3
wonder we
was.
didn't find any of him.
And that guy behind him just watched his buddy just.
Oh, RPG 7. Yeah. Yeah, just some Mucane stuff. What the heck is Joey? I have to end the stream because he's not here. I can put all of his favorite games at the bottom of the list if I have to. I'll do it. Don't think I won't. Let's blow up a car.
Ready on the range! It's live!
Blow up the car! I don't know why it started at
Firing in
1.5.
3, 2,
You two
1!
messing with stuff.
Oh, Claire!
If you haven't seen it yet, we now have our merchandise available through Bunker Branding, so head over there through the link in the description.
Holy crap.
Well, I didn't do
There's
as much
like
as damage as I thought.
Not really a door.
There's this frame part and that's it.
Is this the handle?
Do you think that'll
Honestly,
unlatch?
something to destroy that tank. The fact that I only really destroyed the
Nah, I
front
think
seat
she's
looks
stuck.
like.
Can we bend this down? Careful, careful.
People killed the driver at least.
Oh, look at all this glass in his.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
This wasn't broken. This was all the glass was
That's all
good.
concussive. What about all the dashes all blown in?
Oh, that driver's that's all sheet metal blown into that had gone right into whoever was driving.
Oh, yeah.
And I bet it, lacerated across him.
Oh, he's got big cuts on him for sure. Let's try to pull him out. Oh, yeah.
There's a good one.
Pizza.
Yeah. That seems pretty alright. Oh, this one. This one good. Ooh, yeah, that one's meaty. I should be making a tier list based on these, which one has the best RPG? Which video game has the best RPG? That one's alright. Oh, that one's a laser. What? That's not a rock RPG. That's just a laser. It sounds like one, kinda. Squad. Oh my god, I cannot see what. That's a little terrible aiming. Explosion was cool though. You can't see shit through that scope. Yeah, I didn't want to see what I was trying to shoot at. Yeah. Well, that was lame. Call of Duty one was pretty lame too. These snipers have more impact. Pistols do. Well, that's a little better. Mind you, I'm not rating these on the realistically. I'm rating these based on how fun they'd be to use. Ooh, that felt good. Ooh, look at the vibration. Ooh, the fact that you can tell your character feeling it really helps. Ooh, you can see the shockwave. Ooh, love it. Oh, Vice City out here with a fantastic shockwave as well. Oh, Joey's back. Hold on, let me boot you up.
Alright.
Just join some RPG gameplay here. That was a huge shit you took.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Taking care of some good personal business inside the toilet, right?
I mean, I'll tell you what, whoever's renting there probably won't pay me.
Anyways, back to the tier list.
Alright. So, what if we don't have a lot to say about them, I recommend that we try to summarize some of them, because, like, we get wordy about things we know nothing about. Like, I started talking way too much about, like, this guy, 6.
Yes, you did.
And you talked way too much about Super Mario.
Okay, but I know about
alright.
Super Mario.
You know nothing. Continue.
Okay, Lunar. I'm gonna put this one as mid.
Lunar 1 is D nowadays,
Yeah,
I'd
probably
say.
D. You know what? I agree with you.
Yeah. It's not that it's not good, it's just that, like, the sequel is miles better.
So-
And also the gameplay itself has not aged the best.
No, I think the gameplay in this game is actually pretty bad. Actually, Ugh. Even my old game.
yeah.
Okay, so here's my problem with the game. First of all, it has mash attack button to win syndrome, where you just mash the kill button and you win.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
second of
same
all,
issue that some of the Wild Arms have. Yeah, I
is
feel that.
the enemies in this game. So you have 5 party members, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two of which are physical attackers, two of which are magical attackers, and one's a mix, right? And every time you enter an area, all the enemies, all of them will either be completely immune to physical attacks or completely immune to magical attacks. And all the enemies in a given area have the same immunity. So when you enter a dungeon, half your party members are fucking useless.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a fair criticism.
And that persists throughout the entire game. And it drags it down so much. Because it doesn't matter how good... The writing's alright. I like the writing in the game. When you get to the towns...
The Lunar series has good writing. That's an example of solid
The towns are full of memes.
Yes.
I love the memes
Yes,
in this
yes.
game. I remember entering a tavern and immediately getting hit with the Star Wars quote. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. And I'm like, yeah, I remember that. That stuck out. And the game is full of meme jokes like that. I love it when games are full of that.
I would caution you about utilizing the memality of a game as a plus point on the average scale.
If it's funny, makes me laugh, makes me smile, that's a plus.
Well, right, but it's not hard to do that with a meme. Is what I'm getting at. It's like, let's
hey, if a
curtail-
low-hanging fruit is delicious, then it's delicious, Joey.
It's not delicious. You just have, like, sometimes, Jesse, it's fair to say, your taste of memes aren't always on, they're usually on point. They're not always on point.
Anyways, Lunar 2, more or less the same, except the gameplay's better and the writing's better.
Yeah, I put that as a mid B.
Low B, yeah.
Yeah, no, that game is a classic. That one belongs on the list of classic RPGs that are lesser known.
Alright. This is the one Joey's been most excited about. Quest 64. Tell me about Quest 64.
F.
F?
F. F. What story?
Deepest bowels
What
of
mechanics? What mechanics? You learn spells, Jesse. You learn spells in this game by talking to people.
That doesn't sound so bad.
Well, it would sound better if there was any story to come from the people instead of just have a spell.
I'll have a new
There's
spell.
no story in this game. There's kill the bad guy. That's it. It's all of the story in this game. The mechanics themselves are so bare bones. I've never seen a more nothing burger of an RPG in my life. This is literally like what I would have expected people to like. This is basically just, they could have said this is the remake of Dragon Quest, but underdone, and I would believe them. It is the paramount worst RPG that people know of.
I've seen a little bit of this game, and ooh, it is rough. It also looks like ass.
So bad. It's so bad. It's an intent because this was this was them being like, well, fine, if you're gonna go to PlayStation Final Fantasy, we'll make our own RPGs with blackjacks and hookers.
And then Nintendo being Nintendo, they absolutely refuse to do anything normal.
No, and that's one of the weird things too, is like, the first time they had a good RPG was actually after this with Paper Mario. But the prior RPG was not them, it was Square.
Well, what's worse is that Paper Mario was built as a sequel to Mario RPG, so a lot of what's good in Paper Mario was from Square, which again is kind of rubbing.
It's not even Nintendo.
It's kind of rubbing into Nintendo's face that they really shouldn't have done that.
Literally, all of Nintendo's RPG segment stylization is based around Square's ingenuity, and that's tragic. And this shows that they can't do it themselves. And I think that puts this heartily in F.
Thankfully, we could probably get maybe the first S, or at least a top tier A, Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, it's an S.
S.
That's an S.
S.
The story's still so well done. The mechanics in the game they allow you, and we allowed ones where you could switch to turn-based, by the way, folks. They allow you to switch between the two. They allow unison attacks. They have interplay between the characters consistently throughout the game. They have some of the best twists in gaming. The character design is top-notch because at this point they weren't done like this very much. The world itself was varied heavily. The mechanics in the game were so unique, they're troubled to do today. And when they attempted to make a spiritual sequel, it did not do nearly as well. And it was still one of the best RPGs. Like, Chrono Cross is still one of the best RPGs. And it's nowhere near as good as this.
Chrono Cross on here.
That's fine. We can get to it at another point. Remember, we'll do more on Adam later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one's just a pure S. And it's done with the silent protagonist. Because this is an example of you doing a silent protag right in an RPG.
So
anything you want to add?
I think so. I have two things to add. One to the gameplay. Gameplay kind of has moments where it is kind of press the attack button to kill the enemy moments where it's just that's all you do. But I think what really helps this game is that a lot of the combo attacks have extra effects. So a lot of the strategy isn't like. A lot of the times you are just pushing the kill button on the enemy, but what flavor of kill you use does actually matter quite a bit, and that helps quite a bit. And then I think another thing I want to talk about is the side quests and the side content in this game. For an SNES game, is pretty top tier. You know, a lot of it's very naturally done. Like you hear about a sword in a behind a waterfall, so you go check out the waterfall, and then you discover Flark's backstory because of it. Stuff like that. And a lot of the side quests really, like, emphasize... There's a lot of good side quests that really emphasize the values of each character. One of which, the biggest side quest involving your main character, I don't want to spoil, but ooh boy... You know what? I am going to spoil. It's an old game. Ignore me for a second till you see me start moving bravely default, moving around. Your main character dies. He dies in the story. And to get him back as a side quest, you have to... And the game heavily implies do the side quest. It tells you several times to do it. But like, throughout the side
you can beat the game without him.
Yeah. And throughout the rest of the side quest... while you're doing the side quest, you constantly hear the characters talk about how important the main character is to them. He's a silent protagonist. He doesn't have that much personality. But based on the way people talk to him, it kind of emphasizes his importance to the story throughout the entire side quest. And all the side quests are like that. You feel the importance of every character throughout the side quest. A lot of Frog's backstory is in a side quest. And, you know, there's a secret character you get for getting through that. You know, Magus could be completely missed if you don't do it. It's pretty much right along the side of the main story. It's hard to miss that side quest.
I mean, this is honestly like one of Square's greatest achievements. This is a standalone story that is considered a complete and full experience even today. With the games that it has to compete with, being some of the best RPGs ever made, it can still stand next to them.
So one of the things this game does as a technical marvel, and this game was lauded for doing this, and this doesn't seem like a big deal now, not only are enemies not random encounters, they're on the screen, but when you fight them, you just fight them on the field as is. And
oh, yeah.
That was widely considered like impossible to do. Technically,
it was. People already were losing their shit over Mode 7 existing because that was the first like hint at 3D that we were gonna get. And right after that, they did that shit, and it's like, oh my god, true area-based, turn-based battles? Are you kidding me? That's insane. Because usually, what happens is you close the screen off with the variables in place, and it loads you up in your specified area. In this one, it just drops you in. So everything would have to be at least kind of preloaded, that's something that was lauded when Yakuza 6 did it. to its open world.
Not only that, but the sprite. I was talking about the sprite work of Mario and Luigi. This game has fantastic sprite work. I don't think it's quite on the level of Mario and Luigi, but if you compare it to like other games on the SNES, even like Final Fantasy VI, this game is like really good sprite work.
Well, like the Game Boy Advance is considered to be like a little bit better in terms of its bit rates than the SNES. So like it's not really a fair comparison. But like Chrono Trigger utilizes that shading that I said that more games like that needed. And it's a part of the reason why I think Live Alive is one that I wish we had gotten earlier. That's a great example of a game I'm like, wow, look at the variance in the styles in this game. Look at the like, want to talk sprite work? Square was the game maker for that shit in the day. Like, nobody did it like Square. If you need an example of that, just look at fucking Kafka at the end of Final Fantasy VI. Holy piss on a Pringle, that's a big sprite. All right, Bravely Default.
Oh, Bravely Default. All right, this one I'm definitely...
It's B.
Yeah, it's a B. This one...
It's still a B. It's a good game.
I've got a lot to say about the B. Gameplay-wise, I think this one does the Final Fantasy class system probably one of the best out of any game.
I would mostly agree.
Oh, I hate the story of this game so much.
The initial story is all right, and then when you have to roll it back, I get pissed off.
Oh, even before you roll it back, I get a little pissed off. Okay.
See, I can deal with half of the story. I can't deal with the second half.
So, the second half, everybody knows about the rollback. It involves your characters being really fucking stupid. And you just having to repeat yourself. Like it. And you having to repeat everything multiple times. Pain in the ass. My problem is even before, and it involves the main villains. Okay, hold on. We're going into spoiler here. But one of your main characters, Edia, is from the evil empire that's taken over the world. When she sees the evil Empire people start being evil Empire stuff, she turns sides. You know, they start burning villages, attacking innocents, raping puppies. I wish that was...
Jesus, Jesse. Holy shit. Chill, bro.
Oh, they do some pretty fucking evil shit, man.
I don't think that they've ever done that. Let's not exaggerate the war crimes.
All right, let's not exaggerate the war crimes. Whatever. Anyways, they do some evil stuff that would make, you know, World War II Germany blush.
Jesus, Jesse. Chill, bro.
You told me no filters. There are no filters.
I didn't say that ever.
Anyways.
You put words in my mouth.
Anyways, so they do some really evil stuff, right? And you're thinking, well, okay, and they're trying to take over these crystals, to prevent the main characters from purifying them, which we learn later the main characters aren't supposed to do that. They're not, main characters are bad, the Empire is actually doing a good thing by preventing the main characters from touching the crystals. The problem is, the fact that they're so goddamn evil while doing it. They do not need to be as evil as they are. And
it feels like they wanted to make them kind of like, oh, well, the Imperial Empire is evil, and it's like, in my opinion, the Jedi are evil, and I'm like, you're both right, but like in this instance, it's like only one of them is really right, but like in different ways.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so like, let's say the Empire has to like kill some people in order to prevent the destruction of the world, which is what they're doing. Alright, kill some people and prevent the destruction of the world, fine, do that. But a lot of the methods they use, and a lot of the times it's just not even necessary to kill people, and they do it anyways. Like...
Yeah, I guess I agree. I mean, this is why this isn't an A, though, right?
Well, okay, like,
because,
here's the worst, one of the worst examples. You get to this town that at one point was like this super religious town, you know, very peaceful, very like simple town, right? And you discover
very pious, gotcha.
And you discover it's been turned into this entertainment hub by the Emperor. They've turned it into basically Vegas or like a resort or something. Doesn't seem so bad at first, but then you get this cutscene where you discover that people are really obsessed with these hair clips, right? And mind you, the Emperor's already taken over this country. They don't need to do anything more. They have the country. They can stop the crystal, us getting to the crystal with whatever. But they have these hair clips that people are obsessed with. And first you discover that they're killing endangered animals to get it. And it's like, okay, well, that's messed up. But not only that, but you discover that the hair clips set up this mind-controllingly addictive substance to the point where, like, a pair of twins actually kill each other trying to get
So
these.
a drug.
Yeah, it's a drug. They start killing each other over these hair clips. And I'm just thinking, like, why the fuck are you selling these hair clips? They don't help you whatever. Why are you doing this? You don't need to do this. You have the town. You've turned it into an entertainment hub. Just entertain people. That's all you have to do. You don't have to. You didn't even need to turn it into an entertainment hub. You just need to take the area with the crystal and leave everybody the fuck alone. That's all you have to do. They didn't have an army. They wouldn't have stopped you. They couldn't do shit to you. Why'd you do this? And then one of the red mage of the game tries to, like, date rape your party member. Yeah, he did.
God, Jesse.
No, he did.
Holy
He drugged her,
I
brought
know,
her to
but,
his
like-
room. He was going for it, man.
Yeah, Jesse. Okay. We're moving on to the next game. You're getting too into
I'm
this.
sure if she was a puppy, it wouldn't have changed anything.
Jesse, we got to move on to the next game. Okay, Final
No.
Fantasy IV. Final Fantasy IV.
Final Fantasy IV.
Fucking goddamn it, Jesse.
No,
This is why we can't take you to Disney World.
This is why we can't
Um,
Alright, so Final
uh,
Fantasy IV.
that's a higher B. Yeah, not the highest, but like a higher B.
So I think
I would put it below Superstar.
This is what
I
I
would put it
consider
below
the first
Superstar,
Final
okay.
Fantasy to have a good plot.
I agree. And its plot is not just good, it is astonishingly good. It's actually really weird, the drop-off point between, like, the first three and then four.
Well, it's weird
It's
because
really
in
weird.
terms of plot, it feels like the first three are, like, experimental, and the fourth is when they're, like, actually trying with their,
Well,
after their experiments.
Two attempted something with their plot. Child soldiers that are refugees surviving a battle and being taken in by a resistance movement in another country. That
true.
is a solid plot start point, and it goes on from there. And in fact, I would actually argue Final Fantasy II's plot is very good when you go to the PSP remakes that give you the extension where the people who supported you and died for you finished off the demons in hell.
But anyway,
I think that it makes it better. But 4's whole plot has you start off as the bad guy.
yeah.
What a awesome thing to do. You start off as a Dark Knight, and you're one of the lead Dark Knights of the army that you're fighting for. And this army is fucking ruthless. You and your army burn down a town is the first thing you do in the game. And you save a little girl. And because they try to kill the little girl, because it's a city of summoners, and they're scared of summoners, you kill all the dudes trying to kill the girl, and you abandon post. That's the first thing in this game. Holy shit, what an opening. I am so fucking invested. This game has such an underappreciated plot for what it does, and it really puts in place a lot of the aspects of Final Fantasy that people will come to love. The ideas of self-sacrifice, the ideas of importance of knowing which side you're on, the ideas of blurring the lines between good and bad, the ideas of power scales in this universe. Summoners are consistently considered OP motherfuckers, and they try to get them killed in every game they're in. Some they succeed, some they do not. I think this is the first Final Fantasy game that is a Final Fantasy game.
One thing, and I guess just getting into gameplay a little bit, this is, although it doesn't have a class station, I almost feel like this is where the personality for a lot of the classes come in.
I
You
agree.
just mentioned the thing with the summoners, but, like, Dragoons weren't, like...
Yep. Dragoons were not a thing until that game.
I think they were
That was
in
the
3,
newest one.
but, like, they were just kind of...
No.
No.
They were new in this game. Kain is the first Dragoon. It's actually really cool. Same with the Paladin class was not a thing in the games, nor was Dark Knight. those 3 classes were all added in this game. I actually think Summoner as a class was added
Wait,
in this
no, I
game
do
too.
remember. No, that was in the DS remake. Never mind. I
That
was
was
like,
the
Dark Knight
remakes,
was
yeah.
in 3, but no, that was in the remake.
No, it was actually much more bare bones in the original. But as I was going to get to with the whole point here is narratively they tie in your class changes too, and that's a big thing in
Yeah.
Final Fantasy games later on. Is your main character changes from a Dark Knight to a Paladin, and he has to do it through confronting himself because to be a Dark Knight, you have to be, as they say in the game, engaged in all of the anger and rages you could find to utilize dark magic. And he doesn't fucking want that no more, so he has to figure out how to get his hands on some good old light magic because he apparently has an affinity. I'm not going to spoil how it all goes down from there, but I will say it's pretty damn compelling.
All the characters are good.
Yes.
All the characters feel unique. I could think of every character in this game, and I'm like, yeah, I like all of them. And yeah.
Yeah, no, the game's just good. It belongs where it is. It is a classic. It's from the trilogy of good games from Final Fantasy. So like, yeah, there's no way it was going to be bad. This one's. I have a little bit to say, and then I'll defer to you.
I'm gonna.
I think this game is hot. No, I think it's high B. I think it's high B.
I think it's low.
I think it's high B only because the story isn't quite as compelling as it could have been, but it still is an amazing game and it has a lot of potential to be better with a sequel. And I think that has a lot of room to grow. So I think at the moment it's high B, and I think that if they release an expansion, it could get to high A.
They did.
Or if they release a sequel, it could get to high A. What did the expansion add?
A circus.
That's okay. I mean an expansion, Jesse. I mean
there
a
was
story.
Also a roguelike dungeon and a whole bunch of new monsters and stuff.
That's right, but I'm talking a story expansion because I'm saying that's where the weak point is.
I think it did. I haven't actually played the expansion yet. I should.
Well, until we do, let's defer to this and say we can switch it up. Well, I think it's high B. I think it's the highest B. I think it's above Final Fantasy IV. But I think that it has room to grow in the story aspect because the story is the weak point of this game. And it's the only weak point, mind you, because the gameplay loop itself is exceptionally fun. It's a really good take on the Pokemon genre. It's interesting in the stylization. The only thing it's really missing is a good story. The story's just kind of meh.
So for me, the story is why I don't put it in S rank. So
as a game itself, if your story is okay, not good,
let me discuss my thoughts on the game. So this is a creature collector like Pokemon. Calling it Pokemon like's a little weak. It does a lot of its own unique stuff, which is great. So many games try to crimp Pokemon to the point where they shoot themselves in the foot. And we have Monster Crown coming up soon, so I'll talk about that. But it has its own unique mechanics. Like, for example, although there is a type matchup chart, the types don't necessarily are like, I do double damage to you. What the types do is that they have different interactions with each other. Like, if you use a water move on a fire type, it will douse them and decrease their attack power. But if you use a grass type on a fire type, it'll inflame them and actually heal them. And these interactions do different things. Like, I can't remember the exact chain of stuff, but you can, by hitting a certain type with another type 3 times, you can change its type 3 times. Like, you could change other people's type. I think, like, what it was is, if you light a plastic type, because there's plastic types in this game, on fire, it becomes a corrosive type. That's not, like, a bad thing, but it is an interaction that you can have. And so... that alone does it. Another major difference is in the way is that you always have your 2 party members. How many people you fight can difference. When you're fighting the wilds, you can fight up to like 3 of them, but like when you're fighting other trainers, it's usually 2v2. Another thing is your monsters are set up to different characters. Like you have your main character who's fully customizable, and then you have a partner character or cooperative partner if you don't want to. If you want to do that instead, there's co-op in this game. Who has their own presets set, and those stats do actually like boost your monster. So having the right monster attached to the right character does change things. And there's another aspect to it where if a monster gets blasted, your guy gets set vulnerable, and they have their own HP. You can win fights by taking out the summoner after you blast their monster away.
So this let's summarize. This all goes back to the fact that the gameplay is A+ to S rank gameplay, but
Yes.
but the story pushes it down to the highest.
Oh, I was about to get to the story. So
the story's just
the story, uh, there are two major story beats going on to talk about. The first story beat is the go around the gyms and defeat the gym leader storylines. Gym leaders are unique, they're fun, they're found in unique locations. There's no gyms
But
though,
it's
you
derivative.
just find them out in the wild.
right, but it's still derivative. So move on to the one that is not derivative.
And the other story is to find all of the angels and defeat them in the subway systems. They have actual dungeons, and the boss fights with them are fantastic. But
Right.
how the plot with that one goes is as you defeat the angels and you get some dialogue from the angels, you slowly get this weird feeling of, and when you talk to your party members, you also discover something weird about them, is that they all have different creative aspects to them. Like this lady's a musician, this person's an artist, this guy's got like used stenograms or whatever it is he was doing. You discover most of your party members, I think like two of them don't, are artists of some type. And you discover at the end of the game that everything in this world, because everybody's been isekai'd into this world. Every character's an isekai into this weird world full of monsters. You discover that this is places like a dumping ground for ideas, where like creativity like from all these different worlds like influences stuff, like the monster, everything. And the angels are basically like guardians. I can't remember what the deal with the angels was, but and they tried to go through this whole like creativity, like, oh, this is the value of creativity and stuff. The problem is, you only really realize this at the end of the game. Like, it feels like the themes of the game don't get dropped until the very end of it. And it tries to do this whole meta commentary stuff with it, and I'm just like, okay, this would have been fine if it was throughout the entire game, but the fact that it's dropped at the very end is like, okay.
It's a very mess story, and for me, like, as a game, it plays well, but as a story, it's kind of a failure.
It's just
and
go
so
to
that,
A
that,
to
that
B, defeat boss character, move to the next area.
yeah. So for me, that puts it like, because like we just talked about the greatness of Final Fantasy IV, and I'm like, I can't see it being that much better than that, but it is better than that.
And I know there's gonna be somebody out there who's like, I love the messaging in this game, but like I can't get behind it because the messaging is done so poorly. And there could have been
Agreed.
something here, but there isn't. Oh, I will say though, the music in this game is top tier.
Oh, it's banger. It's
a
banger music.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's good music.
And I do want to put it bottom of the A, but
I think a big thing to note here is we need to recognize the room that it has for growth. This is not its ceiling.
That's true. There's definitely room for growth. If we could get a good plot in this game, and we would.
Oh, that'd be an S.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'd be an S. Yeah.
Speaking of good plot and gameplay.
Holy shit! That's golden,
I mean, I
right?
might as well just throw all of the personas up here. Why not?
Well, I'd throw
maybe
3
we could throw
FPS.
3 at A.
Yeah, I'd put Persona 5 above 4.
Yeah, maybe even above Chrono Trigger.
Persona 5 Royal is above Chrono Trigger.
This
Persona
is
5
Royal.
itself is not. Okay, yeah, it's above Chrono. So let's talk about the first one you dropped, which is 4. All of these deal with sociological and psychological aspects of the human psyche. Persona 4 deals with the concept of the shadow self. Jesse, do you know what the shadow self is?
The part of yourself that you don't want to admit.
Yep, but you also have to realize and recognize as a part of you to move forward with it.
Yeah.
That is a literal translation of what the shadow self is, and they literally put it into the game as a meta narrative for a murder mystery. It's super good, and also just the entirety of the writing for every single confidant in the game. There's only like up to 5 between the 3 games that I would say are just meh, but every other one is amazingly written. The gameplay itself,
when it comes to
the gameplay loop is good.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
When it comes to the confidence, I always got asked, like, how do the confidence set into the theme of the game? When you're talking to your party members, you know, a lot of your party members had to directly confront their shadow selves and the stuff, but, like, a lot of their dialogue in their confident discussions is them how they come to terms with themselves and their feelings.
Yep, because you can't go through a certain level of confidant without dealing with their shadow self
and how
first.
they grow through that. You get
Yep,
to see stuff.
and that's a big thing. And even outside of that, I'll give you an example with the uncle of the main character. The uncle of the main character has never wanted to deal with the self that has to deal with the grief of his wife's passing.
Yeah.
And because he doesn't want to deal with the grief of his wife's passing, he does not want to deal with his daughter that much. And because he does not want to deal with his daughter that much, his daughter feels neglected, which she is. Now, you come into the picture and you give a new perspective to him that shows, hey, yourself that loves your daughter is just as good as yourself that loved your wife. And you need to allow that part of yourself in again.
Well, I think it's interesting with the other confidants, because with the main character confidants, it's just like they're thrown into it and are forced to accept themselves or die. And so they're kind of forced through it through magical mumbo jumbo. But the side confidants, they get forced through it just through circumstance and interacting with your main character. And I think just like showing it in such a more, and having it in a more natural way with the side characters really helps enforce the theme without the magical mumbo jumbo getting in, messing with it, tampering with the message.
Now, moving quickly on to Persona 3, we're going to save 5 for last. Persona 3's whole theming is about death and dealing with death. That's why everybody, when they go into the Shadow Realm, are in coffins. That's why the deity that talks to the main character talks to the main character the way they talk to him. That is why your Persona's final form is Messiah, which is directly based on Jesus. And also their persona is also Orpheus, who is also who Jesus was based upon, which has a very similar story to Jesus because deities have interlocking stories. It's a very good showcase of grief and healthy handling of grief. It's the least of the 3, the big 3, but it's still is a phenomenal telling of handling grief. And I think Reload was actually a really welcome re-addition to the party, just because a fresh interpretation of such an interesting story, always welcome. I'm never going to say no to a remake for a game like that. Would I have preferred them to remake the ones that are problematic first? Yeah. Make them not problematic. Please.
I want to team up with Hitler, Joey. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I really didn't want Persona 1, 2, and 2. By the way, there are 2 Persona 2s, folks. It's really dumb.
To be fair, there are 2 Persona 3s, too, so...
Yeah, but they didn't say Persona 2 blank this, and then Persona 2 blank this. It was just an add-on. I think the story is very well done. The characters are very well done. It has Vic Mignogna in it, which he is known as a predator, is what we'll say. He's very well known. You'll know him as in Fullmetal Alchemist. You'll know him as Broly in Dragon Ball Z. You'll also know him as somebody who got in a lot of trouble about 5 years back for that. So if you're uncomfortable hearing his voice, he is one of the main characters in this game. So just be wary.
So, I guess this is rough because since we put it below Persona 4, we have to talk about what this game doesn't do as well as Persona 4. And I think part of that is the main characters, I don't always think set up their they're not very good confidence very much.
Yeah, there's only two that stand out to me. I can actually tell them to you off the cuff. There's one that's literally a terminally ill young boy that is dealing with the time he has left and the little victories he has that he can gain from the remainder of his life. That one's really good. There's another one where a star athlete finds out his mother is getting sick, and even though he was being really aggressive to his other sports mates, he realizes he has to put his sports dreams aside to take care of his family. And he doesn't get to be a sports star at the end of this confidant, which is not how that usually ends. He has to be comfortable in the fact that his job now is to take care of his family.
And
those are good confidants.
I don't know if I quite... I feel like this game also skips along with a lot of the main characters' introductions a lot. I remember Junpei specifically. He joins the C's off screen. Like 1 minute he's not part of the C's, and then 1 minute one of the other characters walks in with him. He's like, he's with you guys now. He has a persona, whatever.
Let me list the ones that matter, okay? Because it's going to be very frustrating to note this. But there are only 3 of your teammates that matter. The dead one that nobody remembers the name of ever, because of him getting dead. Akihiko, because his connection with him. And Mitsuri. But the main girls, Fubuki and God, I can't remember her name, Junpei, the dog, and the kid, none of them really matter that much in terms of the story's breadth.
I don't even think they super matter for the theming, because I think to Junpei's story, his whole thing is inadequacy. I'm like, well, when you compare it to the death theming, it's like, eh.
The main girl of the story is basically dealing with who killed her parents, and hers ties into Mitsuri's, who her father was the one running the business that killed her parents, and I'm like, that ties her in somewhat, but like, we know who matters in your team based on who's written the best, and it's one of them is dead, and the 2 that are alive are the senior members. Those are the ones that matter.
I will
and
say,
that's
in
it.
terms
And
of the, I guess we might as well talk about the gameplay of the Persona game. You know, the gameplay is good.
okay.
My problem with Persona 3's daily life things is that it's really easy to max things out compared to 4 and 5. There's like a section towards the end of the game where even I'm like, man, I got nothing to do.
Fun fact about all Persona games, you cannot max out everything on your first playthrough in any of them.
I did in Royal when during my first playthrough.
During your last first playthrough? What? I was gonna say that it's actually impossible to max everything out in your first playthrough if you actually want to get all of the personas, because that's the big thing, is that's maxing everything out. Jesse, do you think I just mean do you think I just mean social skills?
I think I had all the personas at the end of Royale.
You can't get all the personas and social social skills by the end of Persona 5 Royal's first playthrough. You can't.
I had
they
all
made
the
it that
social
way
skills and
intentionally.
all the confidence filled out.
I don't believe you.
I'd use a guide. There are guides to do it. There
I
are guides to
don't
do
believe
it in Persona 4 too.
Don't
And I
believe
did it on my own in Persona 3.
I don't fucking believe you.
Joey, do you
Just-
not know this? The only thing you can't do
One
in Persona 5 on the first playthrough is fight the twins. But you can still get to the max confident anyways. You don't need to do that. So that's it. That's all you can't do in Persona 5 Royal first time. Joey furiously looking this up, questioning his entire life decision.
No, you can't, because some you can only get them on New Game Plus, you idiot.
Okay, wait, really? Some Persona? Yeah, I
Yes.
think some Persona you can. Okay, well, you can get all the confidants and shit, though.
Jesse, I was mentioning everything though. That's everything. That's part of
suppose.
everything. I'm like, no, there's New Game Plus things. It's like Jesse, wait.
You can get all the stuff
You're
that
incorrect.
matters.
I mean, New Game Plus things matter more than not New Game Plus things because they're OP. Can't get Messiah in 3 without New Game Plus.
Anyways,
I think we're on to 5 now, right?
yeah, I mean, there's not much more to. I guess, yeah. So, I'll also find like the dungeons in 3 to be pretty meh.
They're lame. They're lame dungeons.
Persona
It's all
4
the same
ain't
dungeon.
much better, but at least the theming along the dungeons is better.
I mean, it only really gets like, oh shit, these dungeons are dope in 5,
Yeah.
where they're all heavily themed dungeons.
And they're pre-made, so you can add so many fun stuff. I think Persona 3 and 4 are really held back by the randomization of the dungeons.
Yes, because they couldn't actually put real full randomization in them. I think 5's dungeon design is better. The theming of it is great. Like the first one is a castle, and the person you're trying to attack thinks of himself as the king, and he puts all of his students that he trains in the dungeon. Wow, theming. Like the gameplay for 5, Royal specifically, later on in the game with all the reaction commands you have, like it's so fast.
I think that's a thing that Persona 5 Royale does really, really well compared to other RPGs. Is that it's so fast that you kind of get into this weird flow state where you don't even notice that you're doing the same thing over and over again.
Honestly, like it's so good, and the designs for all of the personas are so good, and they brought back a bunch in Royal too. Like Fafnir is one I liked from Persona 1.
Hold on. Sorry, can I talk about what I just said a little bit more? Just for a brief second about that flow state. So, in this game, I complained earlier in this discussion about the press the kill button rule. And in this game, that's kind of what you do against the regular enemies. Bosses, you do a little bit more. But with the regular enemies, you have to find their weaknesses. And once you find their weaknesses, you knock them down. And once you've knocked all of them down, you can unleash a super attack. And when you first enter the dungeon, you don't always know all the weaknesses, so you're kind of floundering about, getting your ass kicked. But once you figure out all the weaknesses, you can breeze through the enemies super quick. And normally when I'm just, depending on how fast the game moves, this is either a good thing or a bad thing. If the game moves slowly and you're just killing the enemies easily, it drags the game on just so much. Whereas if there was more engaging mechanics in a slow game, it wouldn't matter so much because you're engaged over the slowness. In this game, because it moves so fast, even though once you know what you're doing, the enemies are actually pretty easy. You get into this weird flow state because of the graphics and the animations and how smooth everything moves. That in what would be otherwise like a 5-minute battle, in a different RPG that doesn't know how to do everything perfectly, battles can happen in like 30 seconds in this game. You fight an enemy, 30 seconds later, boom, you're moving on. And it kind of feels like you're a phantom thief running through the enemies too fast to ever stop and get caught, which is a weird feeling. And I feel like that almost helps with the theming too.
I mean, it really does. A big thing about it is the concept of fighting against broken societal norms. Persona 5 is actually probably one of the largest conceptually in scope, because while fighting against death is a very nebulous concept, they do narrow it down to one significant thing, which is everybody dies, get ready for it. But like this one, there's so much variance in the differentiation between fucked up norms that this could go on for miles, the explanation of what this actually dictates. And this isn't even including the Strikers game and what that one tackles, which is mob mentality and all that shit. But honestly, one of the greatest RPGs I've ever had the pleasure to play. And I didn't expect it to be. I pre-ordered it expecting it to just be like, oh, another Persona, it's going to feel like Persona 4 or what, and it did not. And that was not disappointing.
Adding on to that, when you go into the confidants on Persona 3, there's only so many ways you can show the grief of death. Like, there's only so many ways you can say, I know a guy who died and I'm sad about it, or I'm gonna die and I'm sad with that, before it starts to kind of start blending into each other. In Persona 5, and Persona 4 does this pretty good too, but maybe not as well as 5, is that every character has such a different story that still laps into the theme that you could switch out one of the main palaces for a different themed palace based on what one of the confidants is going through, and it still work.
Honestly.
I remember the doctor. It's like you could do a doctor themed palace based on what she's going through, and it would be fit just as well as what the other palaces would be.
Yeah, agreed. Because and it's also because of the trust in the theming acumen that they've gained at that point. And a big thing that you realize with this is the first one I exemplified in being so verbose was a kingdom. And what comes after the kingdom? A museum. Like, it ebbs and flows. You don't have a strict, normalized style that they stick to for what people consider their world. And you actually have a pretty varied one.
It's also not afraid to get niche. You mentioned the museum. Nobody probably would think about the museum as being an oppressive place like that. But this game shows off how a museum can oppress people. Can be used as a tool of oppression. And a lot of the confidants also do that, where it's like, I wouldn't think about that. You wouldn't think about, like,
Britain.
The pyramid is a self-oppressive type of thing, where somebody's oppressing themselves. And you probably wouldn't think, oh, that's kind of similar to the other stuff, but it kind of is, but kind of isn't. And it's like, well, that's neato.
But I think we've said enough about the Persona trilogy. Those are all really good games.
True,
and
but it may seem like we went long, but we also did just do 3 games.
Yeah. And we also didn't include the 3, which is, I would put it in the low S's, because it did improve on 3's baseline. They rewrote a lot of the confidants and fixed them. That's a big thing. And the speed went up. So for those of you that want to know what we would put that at, I'd put it at low S. What's next?
Monster Ground. Yeah.
This is all you, buddy.
E. Okay.
Oh no.
Okay. This game has a lot of good ideas. It's an open world Pokemon-like game. You know, you collect monsters on this old retro style map and stuff. You know, there's some breeding mechanics that allow you to breed some absolute monstrosities. Everything is a fucking mess in this game. So, I said this game is open world, right?
Right.
There's no balancing for this. I will be, let's say, one of the first areas is like a savannah-like area, right? And there are caves throughout the savannah, right? So, I'll be walking around the savannah area. It's an early area. The enemies aren't too tough. I'll enter a cave, die to a boss fight that is a group of Ratman boss fight that's like 30 levels above me. I'll be like, holy shit, man, I shouldn't check out the caves. But because I'm curious, I check out a different cave. The other cave is perfectly fine. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, it's open world where if you just step slightly out of line, you're just gonna die. You're just gonna die. It's impossible to tell when you're gonna die, until you're already dying. You know?
That's awful.
This game is brutal on the pricing. You don't get very much money in this game. To revive your guys, you have to spend a lot of money. So if you step out of line and fucking die, guess what? You get to spend a lot of money reviving your guys. That's annoying. The monster designs, actually pretty good. I don't mind them. The battle system, decent. I don't mind it. The breeding system has the Disgaea 6 problem, where I don't know what kind of monster I'm getting, their stats, and I don't know how strong it is relative to everything else. Because, first of all, I can't even see my opponent's stats half the time. I can see their level, but I can't see their stats. Second of all, a lot of times you're breeding up a new monster. It's kind of a fusion mechanic, kind of not. And I don't know what this new monster's baseline is. I don't know how much stronger it is based on what it wouldn't be. You know? And the fused versions of the monsters are oftentimes, you know, they're based on their parents. So if you've ever played Pokemon Infinite Fusion, it's kind of like that. So you can kind of maybe get an idea, but sometimes I'm just like, I have no idea what these monsters even are or what they're capable of until I run them into a situation, watch them die, and then have to spend a shit ton of money reviving their asses. And it's just, if they had just thought, and like, I also have a problem with the retro style thing. It's hard to tell where everything is in this game, because this game is so, like, it wants to be retro so badly that it refuses to have any more thought beyond that. And I hate games that do that. You know, we talk about Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight's a retro game. It's a fantastic game. Shovel Knight puts more thoughts beyond just being, I want to be retro. It has modern day things put into it to make it better. Monster Crown doesn't do that. Fuck Monster Crown. It's retro or die. And it will kill you if you think so, otherwise. It will shiv you if you argue otherwise.
Fair enough.
I don't think it's completely unplayable, but it is a slog of a game, man. It's just like, every time I'm like, I think I might be having fun, the game kicks me in the balls and it's like, no, you're not. I'm like, okay, well, fine, whatever. I guess I'm not having fun.
What is the next one?
That's Final Fantasy Tactics.
I put it at the low end of B behind.
This is the first
Default.
Tactics too.
Yeah, I like it. Still plays well, but it's not as good as A2, even close.
The storyline.
I mean, there's not much. There's
a good that Knight discovers how messed up the world is type story going on.
Well, and it's also like a good baseline grid-based tactics game to play. Like it's a great starting point.
It does have permadeath too, but I don't think the permadeath is really necessary in this game. I don't think it adds that much. It's just annoying.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
Because it's like, I built up this guy. Unfortunately, he died away from where your guys can pick him back up, so he's gone forever. Whatever.
I don't actually think there's that much to say about this, though. I think it's like it's good. It's just not.
I think when I was making this list, whenever I got to like a series of games, I always felt the need to add the first one just so I could then be like, this is how much better this one is comparison, how much it grew between the games.
That's fair.
Because, like, playing Final Fantasy Tactics, you can see how much the gameplay grew compared to A2, but you can also see how much the story kind of shot itself in A2 in comparison.
That is true.
Kind of.
All right.
If I had Vance on here, we'd have a huge, like, just better discussion, but I didn't think about that. I was just kind of going through. Cyber Sleuth!
Well.
I've only played the first one. I haven't played the second one yet.
All right, we will do the first one, and then I'll wait for you to finish the second one to put the list. The first one, I think, is above Disgaea 1 and below Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
I can agree with that. This is a solid Digimon game.
I think the sequel would have been higher. Like, it would have been probably right below or above, like, between, like, Final Fantasy 4 and Cassette Beast, the sequel is. But this one is right there. It's an amazing game. It's... if they made more Digimon games like that, people probably would buy them.
I feel like every Digimon game before this has had something that completely shoots it in the foot. And Cyber Sleuth is the first Digimon game that's like, no, this is a good Digimon game. There's nothing shooting in its foot.
Oh, Digimon Order and Next Order were good too. Those were the prequels to these two.
Were they? I don't know. I haven't played.
Yeah, those were new age versions of gameplay style. basically better made versions of Digimon World 1, where you can have 2 Digimon, by the way. Those games are actually pretty worth playing. I think you'd enjoy them. You don't have full control of the Digimon. It's more of just a battle my monster, and it just goes and does its thing. But yeah, solid game. Let's move on to Mario and Luigi. This is all you, buddy.
All right, Bowser's Inside Story. So this is the part of Mario and Luigi where it gets a little bit. I'm gonna put this. I like it slightly less than Superstar Saga, but I wanted to talk about this because this game it's both similar and different, and it's hard to and I have to go on a rant to describe why. But first of all, I don't think this game is very funny. A lot of people love this game because they think it's the funniest thing ever, because the main villain talks slightly funny, and that's it. that's the reason why they think this game is the funniest shit ever. And we do have some decent Bowser moments, but I think the Bowser moments in this game are good, but there are better Bowser games in this for Bowser moments. There's no Bowser moment in this game where I'm like, yeah, Bowser, I'm glad to be playing him in this game. It's just like, yeah, Bowser's just kind of fun to play with. He's just the bros again, though. I don't think it's super necessary to have him as his own gameplay. He doesn't play super differently. It's like, instead with the bros, it's like you watch which enemy, you try to watch which bro the enemy is targeting, and dodge it. And when you're fighting Bowser, you know who the enemy is targeting at all times. You just have to use the right dodge button, because one blocks the other punches, and you just have to use the right block button. So that's slightly different, but other than that, there's not much functional difference. Bowser's just strong, and strong enough for 2 people, and that's it. It's just one strong party member instead of 2 weaker party members, and that's the big difference. And, different special attacks. I think the big killer for this one, though, is the special attacks are mini games. And in Superstar Saga, there were mini games, but they were quick mini games. In this game, they're long ass mini games. You can spend a lot. They're kind of like infinite mini games where as long as you consistently do them good, they will go on forever. And they're so much more powerful than your regular attacks that you will spam them every goddamn turn. And every goddamn turn, you're spending like Final Fantasy VIII summon cutscenes worth of cutscene just to do damage. If you play Final Fantasy VIII and done the summon and just do summon cutscenes, you know how tiring this can get after a while. And I just don't think the comedy in this game is top tier. And now that I'm talking about this game more, I'm knocking it down a few more pegs.
That's fair.
Lower B, but it's still likable. You still get good Bowser. You can still get some interesting environments with the inside part. There's some interesting bits. I won't say funny or super like amazing bits, but there are some interesting bits that are worth checking out.
Right. I mean, that's not an awful thing, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that seems like it's a well received game that just didn't match up to like its predecessor, which isn't a bad thing, I would say.
Well, its predecessor is the Partners in Time, which I don't think I put Partners in Time on here. And Partners in Time is a whole discussion.
We'll have a conversation about that.
I
Fallout
didn't put it on
2.
here, so a different day.
Fallout 2, right between Lunar and Disgaea.
I want to put Fallout 2 a little higher.
Oh, you want to put it up there?
Yeah.
That's a lot of love. I was trying to be like, I was assuming that you put it lower. I was gonna say it's below 4.
So,
But,
Fallout 2,
yeah.
Back in the day, almost probably would have been an S rank, but it's aged really roughly, so it's got dropped all the way to top-ish of B.
It's kind of like you can go back and play Diablo 2, but like if a new player plays, they will recognize that it has issues, and you gotta accept those issues.
And I don't think the Fallout series is really the first game that did it, but I think this is the first Fallout series, at least Fallout 1 and 2, is the first one that did putting yourself into the world just amazingly. Just amazingly. And part of that fun is the world itself. But
Yeah, it's the first time that they made it like kind of comedic.
yeah, they made it comedic. They also, with the special system and the perk system, they gave you a lot of customizationable options that really affect the way you play and the way you interact with the world. And I will say this is one of the first, Fallout was one of the first ones that did this really good. Like, as good as, like, modern day games would be. And, you know, it's fun to interact with the world. There's a lot of good humor. There's a lot of variations of weird shit you can do. This game does not pull its punches with some of the weird stuff you can do. I know later Fallout games do. Fallout 2 does not. And I'm not going to talk too much more about it because I've only played so much of it. I need to go back and play the rest of it, but I think it's a good, solid top or B.
All right.
Digimon World 3. You're
Top
talking
of
about
C.
this one. Top of C.
Top of C. Top of
you
C.
like this one.
Yep. So it has a very, very good difficulty curve. It has a really good side game. Its story is solid. And the Digimon included in it are very varied, and your starting teams are varied. The downsides of it are the difficulty curve is such a sharp difficulty curve. And the way to digivolve your Digimon in the game can be tedious. Those are really the only big downsides to this game. It's a good turn-based RPG with good excess amounts of mechanics in it, and a good variety of Digimon you could start the game with diverging paths on how they play. Yeah, the game's solid.
So
It's not.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, like, if World 2 is on this list, yeah, it is. I'll talk more about a bad Digimon game that I like when we get to it.
You know what? I'll say my good plans for the way Digimon plays for World 2. So, Quest 64!
Yeah, no.
Oh my god, S rank, let's go. No.
Oh, you had a couple doubles. Nino Kuni.
Ooh, this one's rough. Because
Bottom of A.
Bottom of A, yeah, I'm with you on that one.
I think the sequel's a better game, personally.
It depends on what you're looking for. Because this one's okay, so this one's a creature collector turn-based RPG. The other one's an action RPG where it's action.
Right, an action RPG where you also have RTS going on at the same time, and you have kingdom building. Like, it's just more game. That's why I think it's better. And also, your main character, is a side character, which is always fun to play as a character watching shit go on.
President of the United States, let's go!
Yeah, helping a king of a kingdom become a king. I'm like, this is actually really fucking cool.
I think another thing
story.
I want to point out, it's not just the gameplay, the plots of the two games are also very different.
Yes, they pull the Studio Ghibli thing. The
Yes.
Final Fantasy thing, I mean, where they just change the entire story in the next one.
And speaking of Studio Ghibli, at least the first game was made by Studio Ghibli. Miyazaki came in and was like, I want to make a video game, and that's what he did.
It's not the first time he's done that. He's actually made about 10. And
Yeah,
these two were the most notable.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is the one everybody knows, though.
Yeah. I don't know this next game, I don't believe.
Oh, Fear and Hunger 2.
Oh, I just haven't played it yet.
So, Fear and Hunger 2. This one's a rough one, because this really depends on what you're looking for a game. I'm going to put it bottom of the B.
I was gonna say, as an RPG, is it
got-
good? As an RPG, is it good?
So, okay. Here's the problem, right? A lot of people
Okay.
like to discuss how difficult this game is, right? Oh, the Fear and Hunger games are really difficult and stuff. This game isn't difficult, it's just punishing. Like, it's the type of thing where it's like, hey, I want to check out this toilet. What's at the bottom of the toilet? Oh, no, you gotta reset because you're at the bottom of the toilet and can't get out. It's like, okay, well, I shouldn't have checked that. And then in the future, you'll just never check the toilet again, right? So it's not like the toilet's a difficulty thing, it's just a trap that kills you. this is what a lot of this game is like. A lot of people are like, oh, there are enemies that'll dismember you, and it's like, well, if you get dismembered in this game, you might as well just reset at that point. If you fight an enemy that dismembers you and they dismember you, just reset at that point. There are ways to undismember yourself, but they're few and far between, and you might not even be near one when that happens. It's annoying to play without dismemberment, so you might as well reset yourself. And there are so many moments in this game where it's like, well, this happened, reset. This happened, reset. Oh, this happened, reset. And even when you're fighting enemies, I don't find fighting enemies in this game difficult if you know how to fight each enemy. It's like, oh, this guy's got dismemberment attack, but that's only as long as he has his arm attached, so you kill the arm on your first turn, and then it's like, well, now the enemy's useless. Kill the enemy.
Right.
It's like, every RPG is a puzzle, and this game's puzzle isn't difficult to solve. This game's puzzle is tedious to solve, because you have to constantly reset yourself to solve it, and go back through, like, because this game is on a 3-day cycle, and each day has 3 segments: a morning, noon, night segment, right? And every time you save, or you have to go to the beds to save, and every time you save, it progresses the game state. So in order to save the game, you have to progress the save state, and that basically gives you 9 saves throughout the entire game. And mind you, for certain plot threads, or like if you want to keep certain characters alive or recruit certain characters, you have to go to them at certain times of the day. So you'll end up like really dragging out your saves as much as you can, and then you'll die to something stupid, and then you have to spend like an hour going back to that one spot just to retry that section. And it's like, oh god, just annoying. And I think the reason why this game is popular like that is because it's great streamer bait. This game is streamer bait, ultimately. But, the plot of this game is fantastic. I love the lore, I love the characters, I love the plot. I love all the horrible shit that happens in this game to a certain extent. I hate playing through the horrible shit of this game, but I love that the horrible shit kind of exists in its own vacuumist way. It's definitely unique because of it. You know, getting trapped in the toilet is horrible and annoying, but it is kind of funny you can get trapped in a toilet like that.
Right.
So this game is atrocious to play through. But the plot is great. It's got a great plot involving gods, about how gods can affect people, and the horrors that like a world with gods who like genuinely want to mess with people or are genuinely uncaring cause. And it's just great lore dive. There's so many like little details to discover and aspects of the plot. Like I said, there are different times of the day, so you have to go to different places at different times to discover different plots, and you know, do different things with different people at different times to affect things later on. There's so many great little details that affect things and change things and move things that I absolutely love, and different lore to discover, and all the lore is great. All the details are great. That's why I want to put this game so high as low B on just plot and lore alone, even though the gameplay is just atrocious to play through. And even once you figure out everything and it's no longer atrocious to play through, there's a good flow to the combat. Once you figure out what you're doing, once you figure out the plot and the puzzle and the stretch. So it's not like, once you're past the point where everything is atrocious and you have everything figured out, it's fine to play through, it's good to play through. It's just, that first, like, playthrough of is just awful. It's just like, yep, just suffer, just be miserable through it all. And some people are like, yeah, I love a game that's like that. But I'm just like, no. It does it through poor gameplay mechanics is what it does. If it didn't, like, if the saves were more frequent, I wouldn't hate it as much. I think is ultimately the big problem with it. But yeah, that's Fear and Hunger 2. Divinity 2.
Right behind Persona 5.
Right beside Persona 5. I have nothing to say on this game.
This game is basically Baldur's Gate 3 light. As in, like, it gives you the freedom to make whatever fucking character you want. You can make Ainsworth Gown, but like you can make like skeleton versions of every race in the game as well, and just be undead. And like if you take your hood down, it changes people's interactions with you, or you have to hide that you're undead to people. You can bring in anybody onto your team you want, and you can interact with them in different ways. The combat in this game is actually very varied and exceptionally deep. Like if you are fighting in a pool of water, fire spells do less damage. But electricity does a lot of damage. But it might hit you. Just all around, one of the greatest crowdfunded RPGs and RPGs I've ever seen in my life. This, as I said, this is one of the games that inspired Baldur's Gate 3's style going forward when they made Divinity Original Sin 1. And Divinity Original Sin 2 just made it better, like way better. If you haven't played this, Jesse, by the way, side note, I really think you would like this.
I
A
should
lot.
play it.
You really should.
Oh, Tokyo Session Mirage FE.
That's a bottom of C.
Bottom of C. I will top of C this game.
Because like the gameplay itself is just kind of you hit
It's just
buttons
Persona.
until they die. But like for weebs, it's not Persona. It doesn't actually play
Well,
very
it's
much like
Shin
Persona
Megami
at all.
Tensei. It's very similar. You use the same magics, the same.
Right. But like on one hand, we have a focus on Shin Megami Tensei
okay, let me
gameplay.
put
On
it
the
like
other
this.
hand, it's overly simplified.
It plays like Shin Megami Tensei, but without all the like personality and the flow to it. It's like if Shin Megami
Which
Tensei was
makes
a
it-
press the kill button to win game.
Oh, and then they just made the Fire Emblem characters, the arguably more deep combat systems, just your stand. And that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, the Fire Emblem. The fact that this is a Fire Emblem game doesn't really affect it at all, which kind of upsets me.
Yeah, which affects the score. I want to move on from
Oh,
this
hold
because
on.
it's making me mad actively.
Hold on, I will talk about this game good though. This game does do the Persona thing of making all the dungeons themed around characters, and this character's themed around, not just idols, but like showbiz and stuff, and like fashion and stuff. It does do the Persona thing of making the dungeons thematically top tier in the suffering that the characters go through based on the showbiz. Very good. Like trying to be idols, trying to be one of the characters is trying to be like a henshin hero, but he's stuck playing the monsters. Stuff like that. Pretty good characterization and stuff like that. It's like Persona, but not as good as Persona in terms of plot. But yeah, that's all I want to say.
Okay, what's next?
Magical Star Sign. I love this game.
I have no opinion on this.
Alright. A. Nah, top of B. Right there. Okay. So this is an obscure little RPG made by Brownie Baron on the DS. Sequel to Magical Vacation, though the plots are pretty separate, so it doesn't really matter if you play this game second. It is an RPG where you play as a bunch of school children whose teacher goes missing, so you go explore like other planets to try to find your teacher. And, you undo conspiracy stuff and blah blah blah. RPG stuff happens. But one of the big things about this game is that, first of all, there's 6 party members. Each one with its own elemental affinity. And what in this game is kind of weird with how it goes, because obviously when you fight your enemies, you want to use the element they're weak to and stuff like that, and each character specializes like that. But how this kind of helps is the planetary system. There are planets on the top screen that and zones, like 5 zones, and if the planet's in its own zone, like an orbit, there's like an orbit around the sun, is in its own zone, characters of that element get powered up. And this ends up kind of an RPG where you'll be fighting a villain or boss or like monsters that are a particular element. So you'll want to basically try to empower the character that's opposite of the most. You try to hero mode the specific character they're weak to as much as you can. And that's kind of interesting in the gameplay section. And and I can't say it's like super deep. You know, every character is kind of different. You know, one character, the Wind girl, is like she's got some healing moves. You know, the Earth guy's got some defensive moves to help you out. The main character at the beginning of the game, you could choose whether they're a dark mage or a light mage, and that means you're missing an element in your party, which is kind of interesting. But, you know, it's your choice which element you don't have. But not very many enemies are particularly weak to light or dark, so it doesn't super matter, surprisingly. But it does change how the main character plays. But what's really interesting is just kind of the worlds you visit. Each one feels so different and unique and vibrant. Like, you go to the Wind world, and it's like this super futuristic city. With like wind people and like with like its own corrupt people, and it's hard to describe because each one is designed very uniquely. Like if you like look at the lizard man, he's a very unique type of lizard man in your party. You won't see lizard men who kind of look like him in any other game. You look at your robot, he's got his own unique little aspect to him. And all the worlds kind of have that. It's hard to describe without showing you the pictures. But, like, everything in this world is creative in its own unique way. And I kind of like it because of it.
What's fair?
I
Pokemon
definitely think it's
Conquest.
worth playing. Sorry. Pokemon Conquest.
I bottom of A.
Yeah, this game is super underrated. Not many people know of this one.
It makes me want Koei Tecmo to work with other companies and make RPGs. Like, this is one of the best grid-based games I've seen in a long time. It mixes the scale of Pokemon with a little bit of kingdom managing, with a little bit of relationship building, which is really cool. And there's growth in the characters. Each one gains different and more powerful mons throughout the game. I think the only thing it's really missing is your own character having their own combat.
So your main character does join combat. He's got the Eevee.
No, that what I'm saying is, like, you're not in combat. Your Eevee is in combat.
Oh yeah, the character is not part of. Well, as it is, it's like each Pokemon has a trainer that's like directly commanding them, which is kind of just how Pokemon works, I guess. You know, that's how Pokemon's always worked. But it is kind of weird that it's like everybody gets one. Characters can have different ones that they switch between, and there is this really obsessive like synchronization. Like, some characters are good with certain mons, so you want to crit them with mons they want, and certain main characters can evolve depending on what mons you give them. Like, if you can give them a mon, they're the specific mon that they're really good with. Every character has a specific mon. Though I gotta tell you, I'll get into that in a sec. I got a lot to say about this game. But the main plot of this game is just go defeat Oda Nobunaga, reunite Japan. You've seen this before in other Japanese samurai games. But what really sets this game interesting is the things that happen afterwards. The sub-stories. There's 1,000,001 sub-stories in this game. Dear God, there are so many. And they can really mess up the game in different ways. Like, you'll start a sub-story where maybe you play as the ice guy, and he has to reunite the entire land by himself when he's only got one country, starting from nothing, and it's like, holy shit. Whereas other ones will be like, alright, there's only 4 countries, each one is stacked with people, fight each other, And throughout this whole thing, there's this whole meta thing because whatever you do in once, any mons you catch in the inside these sub genres stick with the characters moving on. So what you end up doing is you play the easier things, and when you're playing the easier sub genres, you try to build up your things and try to get the right mons to your guys. So that way, when you go do the harder ones, you have the right mons equipped and you can do it better. And that's this weird set of metagaming throughout this game with how you equip your mons to your guys to try to get them the best mons. Because each character is set with a different mon. Like, if you have, like, a character whose best mon is the, like a Litwick or something. Well, that character, well, the Litwick's in the ghost area. Well, maybe you can only recruit that character all the way in the fire area on the opposite side of the map. But, so it's almost impossible to get a Litwick to this character properly. But, then you get to, this one sub map where the character spawns near the Litwick, and then it's like, oh, this is the opportunity. I'm recruiting this guy so I can get the Litwick, so that in later fights I can be better off because I know this guy needs a Litwick stat, and when I recruit him later, it's better. And it's that weird metagaming thing that I kind of love. I love that kind of weird metagame shit. You're not just playing to win, you're playing to win all future fights. I think the only real problem I have with is the maps can kind of be solved. A big one is the poison map. It has a bunch of teleportation areas in it. And it's like, oh, where do the teleportations take you? Well, if you played the map, you know already. And thus the map's already solved and you can blitz your enemies like instantly if you know what you're doing. This is really bad on the ground level where if you know what you're doing, you can one-turn it before your opponent even moves. And it's like, oh no, it's so bad. No.
Okay, Jesse, put it in F.
Oh yeah, put it in F. But other than that, it's a great game.
Yeah, totally. Now, put it in F.
Oh yeah, sorry. You weren't talking about that game. Sorry, you were talking about this one.
Yeah. Put it in F. It's an RPG that doesn't know how to be an RPG. It's bad. Its story is bad. Its concept is interesting, but it's all bad other than that.
This game does item-based combat. Everything you'd use is an item. You can only use items. It's all items. And
there's no leveling system in an RPG. That is
yeah, it's all based on
true.
what weapons you get. What item, not weapons, what items you get. Later areas have better items. And honestly, it's all just jump on your enemy or hammer them or use fireball. That's it. That's pretty much all you got. All items are that. And there's not much more strategy to it. There are the thing items, and oh boy, do we get into the thing items. So, you'll get to the boss fights, and the boss fights require a specific thing item to defeat. And although you could defeat them without the thing item, it's like a slog that will drag all your items out. And to get the specific thing item, it's not very well, you have no idea what thing item you need to use, because those thing items are everywhere. There's a million of them. They're found all over the place. The only way you can get them is by going to the location and grabbing them, but you can only carry one of each. And if you use it, either beforehand or to solve a puzzle, you have to go back and get another one. Or there's a secret area where you can spend a fortune to regain previous thing items, but it's like, it's just this whole mess. I hate it.
All right. About 6 more and we'll be halfway done and we can call this one.
Oh boy. 6 more. Okay. Are we only halfway done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I don't know. Eternal Sonata.
I have nothing to add.
You have nothing? Have you played this game?
No.
Okay. So this is a turn-based strategy game, kinda. No, not strategy. So this is a game with so many great ideas, just fantastic ideas, and dear God, does it not nail them so well. And I want to play this game on stream just because it's fascinating what this game does. But this game, let's take the gameplay, right? This game has a system where you enter a circle area, all your characters are spread on one side, your enemy characters are spread on the other, and when it's your character's turn, you can move them around the area, kind of freestyle, and then you attack them, right? And your character's moves change depending on whether they're standing in light or darkness. Like, if the area is lit up by a lamp, you can use a light attack. If you're in the shadowy part that's not lit up by a lamp, you get a dark attack. And they play with this really well. Like, you'll be out on a sunny field, but there'll be clouds hanging up over the head and moving throughout the battlefield. And so, like, you could place your character underneath one of the moving clouds to get one of the dark attacks if you need a dark attack. Or out of the clouds if you need one of the light attacks. Simple enough, right? This is a cool mechanic. There's cool stuff. You'll be fighting random enemies. Like, you'll be fighting this bat, right? And it'll be like, oh, yeah, let's fight this bat. And the bat's easy. You're massacring through these 4 bats. But then the 5th bat goes into the light, and suddenly it morphs into this giant scorpion. The bats are, like, super dangerous ultra enemies when they're in the light. But only when they're in the light. So you end up trying to knock them out of the light. And there's a lot of cool shit they do with this. Here's the problem. Those bad enemies, you'll fight the recolor of them pretty much every dungeon. There are like 5 enemies total in this game because they just recolor so fucking often. Just recolor after recolor after recolor to the point where it's like I'm just fighting the same enemies over and over and over and over this like several hour RPG to the point where I'm just like, okay. And then the dungeons are like, there were several times in these dungeons where I got stuck because I didn't push A on like this certain this certain obscure area. Like, there's an area where you have to jump through cliff sides, right? Jump from cliff to cliff to cliff. And because I didn't push A like slightly to the right of one other jump point, I couldn't figure out where I had to go. So I got stuck and ended up like just in this cliff area for like hours because I didn't push A on this like microscopic area that's not very well shown that I could do this. Or the water area where like there were paths hidden by the camera that you have to go through, and you have to change the water sections, but it's like it's hard to tell what you can do when you're hiding paths from me via the camera. Am I at the right I don't know where to go because I don't know if the water's set up properly. So I end up running all the way back to put the water back down, only to realize I did that wrong. Go all the way back to raise the water, and then be like, rub myself up against every wall to see if I got the right path. It's just so fucking annoying. As for the plot's alright, but there's a lot of sections throughout this game that just kind of, oh, hold on, actually I'm putting this high D, where, you know, the plot's really good, you know, the characters are really good, but the characters talk way too much, scenes drag on for way too long, and the main villain's just cartoonishly evil. I don't get what's going on. But, like, for example, there's a scene where this girl dies. Well, we haven't known her very long, and she had a crush on one of the other characters, and we spend, like, 15 minutes listening to ramble on about her regrets and on how much she loved the other guy. I'm just sitting there like, fucking die already. Holy shit, man. You got stabbed like 15 minutes ago. Are you bleeding out or not? At first I was like, oh damn, this is shocking. And then after a while I'm like, I hate this character to just die because it just went on so long. And this game is so flowery and talkative that sometimes it can be like, it kind of drags it down sometimes. But the overall plot's really good. You know, main character, there's a good plot twist at the end that's really good. It takes place within the dream of Chopin. It makes that very clear that this is all a dream from the beginning. And I don't know. There's some good bits to it, but oh, this game shoots itself in the foot constantly. Dragon Warrior, aka Dragon Quest 1.
We're gonna put that.
Ooh, this is a rough game because it was great when it came out, let me tell ya. But right now, ooh boy, I'm gonna have to put this one.
What? High C or bottom C, high D?
I'm gonna put high D because you could be absolutely shot in the foot from this game just because your name is bad.
That's true.
That's the kind of stupid shit that's in this game. First Dragon Quest.
Yeah, it's fair. There's not much to say about it. It's a trend. It was a trailblazer. Trailblazers don't always age well.
It did a lot of things first, and that's what we'll say about it.
Earthbound. Ooh, baby. S.
I'm gonna put this one low A. I'm gonna say this because there's a lot irritating shit in this game.
There's a lot of irritating shit in all three of the Earthbound games, but they're RPGs.
Not in Mother
bank on
3.
them.
Earthbound
there is.
Beginnings is really bad. Earthbound Beginnings I'll put like mid as fuck.
Mother
because,
3 has just as many annoying fucking things. It just has a story that's more on the front about what it's about instead of being more nebulous and more about concepts.
Mother 3, I can tell just how bottom of A tier Earthbound really is comparatively.
I mean, Mother 3 is about the same. Just because, I'll be real, you're not looking at it the way I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as Mother 3 is a very forward talking, like it's like, this is the story, this is what it's about. Earthbound is like, this is one of many stories going on in the background of this building to something. Mother 3's story would suck without Earthbound, too.
So
I mean,
well, obviously, Mother 3
I
kind of built. I might as well put Mother 3 up here. I do think Mother 3 is an S, though.
I think they're both S. I think they're both great. I think they both deserve that spot
So
because
my
they're both
problem
really great
isn't so much
RPGs.
with the plot; it's with the gameplay of Earthbound.
The gameplay of Earthbound's great. What do you mean?
There's just a lot of inconveniences that kind of hit you with.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like when I want to teleport, why do I have to run a straight line? Why do I have to do the shine spark?
Because it's thematic. It's a parody, Jesse.
funny,
it's a parody
but
of Back to
it's
the
annoying.
Future. It's a parody. It's a parody of Back to the Future. It's not that annoying to me. Just don't fucking be stupid, and you'll be fine.
Why does this mushroom guy mess up my controls and make it impossible to get to the next town?
It doesn't make it quite impossible, but
It makes it
you know,
really annoying.
get good, scrub. It's a theming choice.
I don't care if it's a theming choice. It's annoying as fuck, and this game is full of stuff like that. So,
I mean, Mother 3 is just a bare bones, solid story RPG. So, like, do you think we should drop it down because it doesn't try anything new?
oh, I'm not saying it doesn't do. Listen, this is bottom of A tier. This is still like better than Final Fantasy IV.
Right. I'm not talking about comparing that though. I'm comparing Mother 3 and Earthbound. I'm saying this one, Earthbound tries new things, and even
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Mother 3 is just a baseline RPG that's really well written.
I appreciate.
If you're going to,
maybe I could put this like top of A, but like I can appreciate trying new things. But if I'm constantly annoyed by you trying new things, I think I would rather just you do basic shit like Mario 3.
I'll be honest with you, the trying new things went well because Earthbound is always considered one of the best RPGs now.
It is considered one of the
People
best
like
RPGs,
it.
but I don't think it's quite S rank. I think it holds itself back. When I'm dealing with these monkeys, how come I have to constantly leave to go create go get more items? Oh,
Teleport. Use your run.
yeah, but can't I just get through this monkey dungeon? Oh, hey, I do have the item. Unfortunately, my character's limited storage space means I have to, I had to put it in storage, like the deep storage.
Oh,
but to get
well.
to this deep storage,
well.
I have to call it on the phone and wait like 10 seconds to pull it up.
Oh no, 10 seconds.
All right, I got the
Oh,
item.
no.
Let me go back into the dungeon, monkey dungeon, and give it to the item. Oh, the
These
next
are-
monkey
these are-
has
these
another
are
item I have to leave
negligible.
and go
These are-
grab.
These are negligible nitpicks.
These are really fucking annoying.
These are negligible at best. These seem
I
to
don't
be
think
just
these
your
are as
personal vendetta.
negligible as you think they are.
I mean, if they weren't negligible, then people probably wouldn't like
I've
Earthbound
seen
as
people
much.
complaining about. Well, hold on. Don't get me wrong. I love Earthbound. I just don't think it's S.
It's not, dude.
I think.
It's the S. It's one of the SNES RPGs. It's one of the only ones that ever beat out Mario RPG
I think
on the SNES. It's
well, I mean,
considered
we
on
can
the
put
level
Mario
of
RPG
6,
below
dude.
it, but I just
Oh,
don't
dude,
think.
it was considered on the level of 6. Final Fantasy 6, one of the greatest RPGs ever made. It's considered on the level of Chrono Trigger by people. Therefore,
I think those people
transitive
are wrong.
property, bitch. Yeah, but like, fuck you. I don't know, man.
Listen, some people absolutely love it. I think that's just it, though. I think it really is so deeply into your taste that I think I have to put it on A because it depends on your taste. Whereas with Chrono Trigger, I don't care what your taste is. That's a good fucking game. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but like Mother 3 can fall into the same department
I
then,
don't
right?
think it does either. I think with Mother 3,
It
it's like...
does. How many people have played Mother 3 that actually have an opinion in America? Tell me right now.
Okay, well, that's a localization thing. If they played it...
Right, right. Isn't it, though? Seems pretty fucking annoying to me.
Oh, yeah. I think you're letting outside things influence it like that a little too hard.
No, I already pointed out the fact that the story is overtly linear. It doesn't do anything really new from Earthbound. In fact, it pulls back some of the interesting new things that they brought in Earthbound after
It
the
unlinears
beginning.
itself at the end. It delinears
Didn't we
itself.
just talk about the problem with that in Cassette Beasts? Didn't we just talk about that as an issue? You better be consistent here.
So, the thing with Cassette Beasts is that the plot is not a big nothing burger. With Mother 3, it's not a nothing burger before it opens up. It's a fantastic linear RPG before it opens up.
Right. It's good. It's not a fantastic
I think it's
linearity.
fantastic.
I have seen Fantastic and it's not. I think it's good.
I don't know. Here's what I'm thinking, Joey. Like right here is the barrier between S and A. Right here, okay.
I'll give you top of A plus above Earthbound with, but I don't think it's an S ranked RPG.
I could do that.
Because like S rank is for the ones that are undebatable, and if Earthbound can't make it into S, then Mother can't make it into S. This is a B. Low B.
Oh, so much potential wasted on the plot.
Low B. Very simple, low B.
Hey, you have 8 characters. Each one could be the main character of their own story.
It would be great if they would have interlocking stories in different ways, depending on who you pick up, but that would be smart. And by the way, that's what Divinity does. You know, if you want to see a parallel of how to do it right and how to do it, Divinity Original Sin 2 does what Octopath Traveler should have done.
So, I think a big part about, I think you guys don't realize how annoying this is. There's a scene in this girl's story where she gets poisoned and paralyzed by a villain, right? The villain sneaks in her drink, steals something from her, runs off. If there were other party members in that building, that would not have played out like that. He would not have been able to rob her like that. There would have been people preventing her from being robbed like that. But they don't exist. Because each story is its own thing. And never will the other characters matter until the very end of the game where they merge together. No. God, why is it the low tiers that are getting doubled here?
Enchanted Arms. I'd put it in D.
Yeah, I'd put it in D. Low D.
Like it's worth trying. It's not an awful game.
I think it's a fascinating game.
Yeah, the concept's there. I don't think there's much else to really fucking say about it, though, unfortunately.
Okay, do you know what really kills this game for me?
Tell me.
How fucking slow it is. This game, first of all, it's a turn-based, grid-based game, right? And those games tend to be pretty slow as is, right? The battles tend to be pretty slow. And the battles in this game are pretty slow. Everything has a nice animation to it, which the animations are nice in this game. The fact that everything, even the regular attacks, have pretty good animations can make the battles take forever. And the fact that there's random encounters in this game really slows it down when you add in the fact that the fights are slow. Really annoying. But what's the real killer on this situation is that the random encounter rate is fucking high as hell. So every 5 seconds you're getting stuck into this 5-minute fight, and it's just like, I just want to continue the plot, guys. Let me go. Stop jumping me. I don't want to do this.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean it's kind of a nothing burger of a game. It's you know, an RPG that if you ever see it on sale for $5.
Like two things. I do like the monster collecting aspects of this game. And I do like, first of all, how weird some of the monsters are. You want a pizza machine with a pizza face? Go ahead, knock yourself out. And I do love that, like, you have to kind of go find some of these monsters and do side quests to get some of these monsters out in the world. I do kind of like that aspect of it. Like, there is rewards for looking around and finding the monsters and hunting them down and stuff. But that's the only compliment I have of it.
It's fair. Last game, and then you'll build up some more in the list for the next time.
Oh, okay. More into the list for next time. Okay.
And you also get rid of the 3 doubles.
We have Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Sky. So this is weird because I did want to put like other Mystery Explorers games, but I realized we can save that for other
This
things.
is the most this is the most popular one. So if I were going to put it anywhere, I'd put it in the top of B.
Top of B.
It's the most liked one out of all of
I
them.
would almost want to put this at bottom of A because there's so much good in this game.
There's a
And I
lot
can't
good in
think
the
of
game,
too
but
much.
I think Conquest is objectively just a better game.
Well, yeah,
in
but
terms
I
of everything
think
it does.
that's why bottom of A, like, it's below Conquest.
Right. Okay, I can see it.
This is, first of all, one of the best Pokemon stories ever.
It's up there.
Oh, yeah. It's juicy. A lot of good plot twists, a lot of good characters, a lot of lovable moments. This game, the dungeons, despite all looking the same, definitely have their own personalities with the way, with the kind of mons you fight. And they're never too long. You never feel like you're getting dragged on for what you can't handle. There's secrets galore throughout this game, especially in this one that they added with like stuff like the juice bar and the secret shops and stuff. And like the secret dungeon town that you can find and stuff. There's also like secret side stories in the menu that you can unlock where you like go through several dungeons as with a different party exploring like a different like perspective with different characters and stuff. Some of which you wouldn't expect. Like one of which is like a story revolving around Team Charm, who are a bunch of NPCs you could just talk to. And it's like, wow, these are neat, and then you get like a whole story with them. And that's neat. I love games where if you just talk to the NPCs, you can get like these whole plots and stories going on, which this game has. It's just a great game. It's just such a solid overall game. What do you have to say, Joey?
I mean, the big thing about it for me is it gives you a lot of options. And that's a big thing with most Mystery Dungeon games is there's not a lot of variety in gameplay in these games. So you need to give options outside of the gameplay.
Well,
and the more you give,
even
the better the game.
Even just from the beginning, picking your main character and your partner Pokemon gives so many different options that the replayability is great. It's like, oh, this time I want to play through this
100%.
game. And the after
100%.
game, holy smokes, the after game has like 3 other storylines, like major storylines that could be their own game going on, plus several of the smaller storylines. That it's like, once you finish this game, you're not done with the game. You ain't done. You ain't seen shit, bro.
No, I do think the game belongs up there. It's a good game. Yeah. I think that'll be it for today's
Oh
episode,
God, a
though.
3-hour, 15-minute stream. I think we gotta be done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I can tell you've been we're starting to check out a little bit there towards the end.
Oh man. Like I want you to build the list up more with more RPGs so we can like have this going for a couple episodes.
Yeah,
Because the conversations are good.
These are good conversations. It's good to tier list this stuff and get our thoughts on paper right here.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's it.
All right. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed. We'll be back with this. Oh boy, will we be back with this?
Yarp.
But yeah, more RPGs. I noticed I didn't put any Fire Emblem on here. Which,
That'll be fun next time.
yeah. Yeah. All right. See y'all. Bye.
Bye.